Yo, good morning. Good morning. Grand Rising, everybody. How you doing? This is your coach Renz, and welcome to Deconstructing Christianity. I'm your host, Coach Renz, and I expect us to have a wonderful, wonderful conversation today. Wonderful conversation today. Look forward to our discussion. Hopefully, we will have some great comedy along with some great insight as well. Great insight as well. That is the thing that we're looking for here. Now, on this channel, we deconstruct Christian. We are deconstructing from Christianity, and the goal here is to help people to deconstruct and find community. Because oftentimes we lose community when we deconstruct from these religions. So we are here to present the family you choose, not the one that you was born into. So Chuck Norris is already here early. Hola. What was that? Cinco Dilo? I'm probably Dola. Yeah. So, let's get some things out the way before we get started here. Let's get some things out the way. If you are new to the show, then this show is not a Christian show. It's not it's not made for Christians, not here to recruit or to dissuade people from being Christian. Just look at Boss Lady here at the beginning. Oh my gosh. Look at that. Miracles happen, y'all. It's a miracle. Jesus. No, I'll just play. I'm gonna leave her alone. She's been showing up in good earlier timing, so I'm gonna leave her alone. So anyway, this channel is for people who are in the process or have deconstructed. This is not to try to convince anyone to leave their religion. If you so choose because you learned something here, then okay. But if you're a great person without being in your religion, then hey, stay where you at. I could care less because we actually don't care if you stay in your religion. But when you come on this show, you will abide by the rules. And when you come on this show, recognize that you are a visitor. You are not the family. Let's get a couple of other things out of the way. So look, cabins for the cruise for October 31st. I checked this morning. Yeah, they're going quickly. So if you didn't think that a cruise books up real quick, it does. So if you want to venture out on this with us, there's no booking number, nothing like that. You just go to Carnival Cruise. You look for the out of New Orleans, October 31st, 5 days. And then the tour that we're going to do is the Cenote and Chichén Itzá. And once we get closer to the date, and I see what the ongoings are on the boat, we'll have meetups. We'll have definite lectural, conversational meetups on the boat in areas on the days at sea. Not gonna bother people while we're in port days, but on the days at sea. So there's like 3 days at sea, 2 days. Well, is it 3 days at sea? So first day you leave, then you hit that one. I think it's 2 days at sea. Something like that. Yeah. So anyway. So now on the show, the way we normally do it is that I'm going to make a big spiel here for a minute to present the case of the claim. Does the Bible prove? Does the Bible and science align with one another? That's the case that I am making today. Now, and then after that, we will allow for people to come on the show, and if they have their fors or their against, or if there's some additional thing that someone may want to add to the information that is provided today. So, shall we begin? Well, in order for us to begin, we know first I must light my cigar. Yeah. Gotta get ready. Oh, got one more announcement. And I will make this announcement again towards the middle and end of the show. Mark your calendar. Wait a minute, hold on. Ladies and gentlemen, I want you to mark your calendar because an all-inspiring event is going to occur on December 5th at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Or is it 7? Because I just forgot. But I believe it's at 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. yours truly, Coach Renz, in conjunction with the Atheist Experience, will be co-hosting on one of their many flagship shows, specifically the show Truth Wanted. So on December 5th, that Friday night, and more information will follow, come and join Coach Renz as he co-hosts Truth Wanted on the Atheist Experience. We've been working on this since August. And we finally got all the tech checks and having to get a new mic and getting a boom and getting my old ass computer a little faster. Getting all the tech things ready for Coach Renz to be a part of the Atheist Experience on the show Truth Wanted, December 5th. Set your calendar. So yeah, I'm going to be on Truth Wanted. Bishop Nubbs said gonna call me the Jefferson because we're moving on up. Yes. And I want you guys all to be there because here's the thing. Their flagship, the top flagship show is the Atheist Experience. But you got to prove yourself in order to get on that show. And that's the show that we had where they have was the McDonough, not or that Justin is on, that Matt is on, you know, that's the big dog show. Yeah. And I'm geeked out that I would have an opportunity. Yeah, Dill Huntley, thank you. Matt Dill, yeah. So to be on that show, that would be a nice, I would like that. It's not about the notoriety, it's just the fact of swimming in those circles would be cool. Plus, maybe if I'm on those shows, some of these people that I've sent out interview requests will be like, oh, you were on Truth Wanted. You were on the Atheist Experience. Yes, I would love to be on your show. Maybe we can get some of those, right? So, yeah, I look forward to it. I look forward to to being on Truth Wanted December 5th. So mark your calendars. I will get the timing down. I could have swore it was they throw me out because they'll give you. I missed a whole bunch of appointments because I kept thinking we were doing Central Time, but we was doing Eastern Time, so I was missing some things. But anyway, we got everything squared away. So I'll be on Truth Wanted December 5th. Right, and this is from the Atheist Experience, which is the largest atheist online network in the world. So look forward to it. Look forward to it. Now, so today's conversation is one of the claims that Christians make is that the Bible and science, they come into alignment with one another. Well, if we were to truly investigate this claim, we will find out that the claim is literally false. That for the one or two instances where you may be able to find some type of similarity between science and the Bible, there are 10 others that says that the God of the Bible had absolutely no idea about science. And this is because it is not the God of the Bible who is writing the Bible, nor is he inspiring the Bible. But it is simply the fact that the Bible is being written by men with the level of scientific knowledge that they had at their disposal at that time frame. And before we begin, let's clarify, what is science? How does science function? Does science move only in absolutes? Does science question itself? Well, these answers will be true. So in order for something to be categorized as science, there's a few criteria that it has to meet. One, whatever claim that you are making or whatever claim you are trying to disprove, you have to be able to provide evidence that can be repeatable in order to prove and validate that your claim is true. So if a scientist were to say that no, there are no apples no apple trees. They would literally have to prove that there are no apple trees, or to say that the tree out back in my backyard is an apple tree. You would then walk out into your backyard, look at the types of trees in your backyard. If that tree does not produce apples, and you go through a whole season, if it does not produce apples, then you first initially say it's an apple tree. But then further scientific development have shown that we can then test the leaves, the bark, and all other elements of the tree, compare it to a tree that we know produce apples. And then science says, well, it is an apple tree. So the claim that it's not, so to say that it's not based on observation is not proof, is not full, is not the 100% truth. We find out that it is an apple tree, but there is an underlying reason why it's not producing apples, but it is still an apple tree. So science digs deeper, even when there is something that they observe and say that, well, and make a statement based on that observation. The other aspect of science is that science will hypothesize about things that it is unable to prove at the moment. But as technology avails itself, science will then look and see if the hypothesis is correct. If the hypothesis is correct, then we continue to move forward. But if the hypothesis is incorrect, then science starts to look and see, well, why is it incorrect? What was our thinking that made it incorrect? What did we discover that made it incorrect? Whereas religion does none of these things. Religion says God did this. This is the result of God doing that. And even when it is shown to be disproven by science, religion says, no, God said he did this, so therefore this is true. Science questions itself. Religion does not question itself. Science proves itself. Religion does not prove itself. And one of the key things about science, and if there's anyone who's a scientist out there, let me clue you in on how to become rich and famous. Find something that the scientific community agrees upon right now, but there is scant information about it, very little proof, still in the hypothesis stage, but agreed that this is most likely the truth, and disprove it. Disprove it. You will become a world-renowned scientist. And the other beauty of science is that you have to publish your work, publish your evidence, and then it is peer reviewed. So other people either agree or disagree with the information based on information you may not have considered. Religion doesn't do that. If you prove the religion is wrong, something about the Bible is wrong, religion scolds you. Religion ostracizes you. And in its sordid history, and even still today, religious maims you, beats you, and sometimes kill you. So science, we don't kill people most of the time. The commercial industry may kill the scientists. Whatever industrial complex you may be disrupting, but scientists themselves do not. So, how does the Bible align with science? We can start out with some of the major things, but I want to start with something simple, something you would think that this God would have known, would have easily clarified, would have easily been able to identify, something simple. And if he had done this, maybe our scientific knowledge today would be much more advanced. And you wouldn't think that this simple thing would make that much of a difference, but it does. We know that in Leviticus, the God of the Bible categorizes bats as birds, when we know today that bats are not birds. Birds have feathers. Birds are different species. Birds lay eggs. Birds do not exist as the same type of species as bats. Bats are mammals. Bats have mouths, birds have beaks. The bird's anatomy is very different from the bat's anatomy. The bird's reproduction system is very different than the bat's reproduction system. So what we know as scientists in science is that you compare, oh, what does all these animals have in common? Oh, their breeding process, their genetic code, their their biological systems. So these are all mammals. Well, these over here, they're different. They're birds. These are different. These are insects. So based on our structure and how our biology works, we've categorized things into different subsections. The God of the Bible did the same thing. All the beasts of the fields, the fish of the sea, and the birds of the air. Very simple. Except there's a lot of shit that's not birds. Well, there's a one animal that he's particularly names as a bird, and it's not a bird. It's a mammal. So how does the God of the Bible not know that a bat is not a bird? It will be the same way when many people say that the story in Jonah and the whale, or Jonah and the fish, God didn't know the difference between a fish and a whale. That a whale is a mammal. That dolphins are mammals. They're different. They're not fish. So it seems like this God of the Bible doesn't really know his animal kingdom as well as he thinks he knows his animal kingdom. So that is, how simple is that? And what would a man have thought at that time frame if God said that there was one beast of the air that you shall not eat? Because notice he says the fish of the sea, the beast of the ground, and the birds or fowl of the air. It seems that anything that wasn't an insect that flew is a bird. It didn't even really get into reptiles. Sea lions, sea lions, dolphins, alligators. Didn't even get into those categories. But he certainly said that the bat is a bird. It doesn't align. That is something that's very small. And if people had known that back then, that there is a mammal that flies, maybe their scientific thought processes would have grown exponentially from what it was at that time frame. And maybe this infinite God would have also known that if he had gotten that right, then there wouldn't come a time frame where man then has a legitimate way of questioning him. You would think this guy would want everything in his book to be 100% true, but instead he left gaps, holes. Why didn't this God just say that, not in 6 literal days that he created the heavens and the earth, but it would have been more accurate for this God to say over eons of time, God created the heavens and the earth. Not using it was the morning and it was the evening, and that was day one. Morning and evening, denoting our way of telling time, and then utilizing the word yom, which means in this context is a 24-hour day. It would have been more scientific for this God to say that no, over billions of years or over great spans of time, God created the heavens and the earth. And over one great span of time, God created all the beasts of the fields. You see, then that would have lined up with science, because creationists, the Bible readers, for them, if they actually believe in their Bible, which most Christians do not believe the earth was created in 6,700 years ago, roughly. But most But if you read the Bible and you believe in the Bible, then you must accept that the earth was created in 6 days, and that the earth was created 6,700 years, about around 6,700 years ago. Now, if there was a God, could a God create the earth and all the universe in 6 days? Sure, sure. But the problem is that the timeline don't match. Because then he starts with Adam and Eve. And then he says that when Adam was a certain age, he had Cain. And then when he was a certain, oh, no, he doesn't say he was a certain age, but it says when Adam was a certain age, he had Seth. And then when Seth was a certain age, he had his kids. And then when his kids had a certain age, they had their kids. And this goes on and on and on and on and on about how old someone was when they were born, how old someone was when they had a child, how old that child was when they had another child. And as you go through the entire lineage, all the way up to the time of Jesus, you wind up coming back, because our Gregorian calendars are based on the time frame of Jesus. You go back, and the next thing you know, you can calculate that Adam and Eve had to have been, and the earth was created around 6,700 years ago. And you can't find two calculations. You'll find one that says 6,400 years ago. You'll find another one that says around 6,700 years ago. In either case, it's still just over 6,000 years ago, less than 7,000 years. When we know that we have had civilizations on this planet longer than 6,000 years, longer than 7,000, longer than 8,000, 9,000. We have had civilizations. We have had plants, animals, people, land, coral reefs. Coral reefs demonstrate that the earth is way more than 6,000 years old. You can read how old coral reefs are, how long a coral reef has been on the planet. And you can even utilize coral reef to be able to tell the time differential of the rotation of the earth when days were longer. You can even find that. Because change is a constant of the universe, and we will not see a major change in our lifetime, but the days will get shorter. But to those people if people are living at that time frame, to them, it'll be normal. Oh, there's 22 hours in a day. 150 million years from now. But the point is that this God is claiming the 24-hour day is the morning and the evening, and he created all these things in these days, and it comes out to about 6,000 some odd years. That doesn't compute. We know for a fact that the universe is at least about 13 billion years. At least about 13 billion years. And let me be clear, that is our known universe is at least 13 billion years old. So now that you take into account that the 6 days of creation cannot be accurate as far as time is concerned, then let's look at the creation of the earth itself. Does that align with science? No, it doesn't, not even slightly. Although you have since the 19th century and then had a resurgence in the late 1900s, you got all these flat earth ass people out there. You got these people that believe that there's a dome over the earth. Because man back then, when they were writing the Bible and claiming that they were being inspired by God, thought that that big blue up in the sky was an ocean, that was water. And so they wrote that there must be a dome. And the Bible is not the only one. The Bible's not the only one. Others wrote domes and shit. You know, the Egyptians believed that originally that there was a dome over the earth. You know, if you understand the story of Neb and Nut, Jeb and Nut, you know, when he had to separate the waters from the waters. The Anunnaki story tells of having to separate the waters from the waters, and the land appears in the middle. A lot of civilizations with lack of scientific knowledge thought that that big blue up there was water. Chinese dynasties thought that that was water. And so they all concocted the idea that there must be some type of structure that's preventing the water from coming down. So they came up with the idea of a dome because of their lack of scientific knowledge. They had no idea how atmospheres work. They didn't know that when light passes through a moisture prism, that you will get the blue that you see. They didn't know also that you get rainbows if it's in the right situation of light and water. So But we know today that there is no dome over the earth, even though people try to say, oh, that rocket crashed because it couldn't escape the dome, and we keep shooting rockets trying to break the dome, which I always think is absolutely an insane thought. Imagine, if you will, if you believe that we were actively trying to crack the dome and that there was water above the dome. Have you ever had the plumbing go out in your house? Imagine that would be purposely trying to make the plumbing go out on the world. Can you make that make sense? What idiot would say that, yeah, I'm going to shoot a rocket to burst a hole in the dome because I believe that there's a whole bunch of water up there, enough water that we could cover the earth. It will flood everybody, it'll be a huge catastrophe. And yeah, governments are all over the world are actively trying to do that, to puncture it without a remedy to close it. This is why the Bible said that there are windows in heaven, portals, that God opened the portals of heaven to allow the waters to come out. They thought that rain came from God opening these windows, which is another non-scientific aspect of the Bible. Rain does not happen because of portals or windows that are being opened in the sky and the dome. Rain happens because of evaporation, cloud accumulation, the right temperatures, and you get rain. The right temperatures. Some of y'all been getting snow. Where if you have the right temperature here in San Antonio, ain't nothing but sunshine. Nothing but sunshine. I know they're going through a drought, but nothing but sunshine. Debbie said put a Band-Aid on it. So the concept of how the earth looks is a dome over the top with pillars that are holding up the edges, the corners of the earth. The earth has corners, right? So it's kind of like a square. It has corners, or a big rectangle, right? And then you got this dome that's over it. And then below that, below the ground, you have Sheol, right? And so it's not exactly just flat and flat bottom. It got Sheol and, some little scraggly cavernous areas. But then you got pillars that are holding it up. And of course, they believe in the ice wall. The ice wall. And the Bible doesn't speak of an ice wall, so I'm going to leave that alone. That is what the flat earthers will say, the ice wall. So we know that almost every planet that we've ever discovered, every planet, every star that we have ever discovered, pretty much every object that we have discovered in space, our known universe, is some type of spherical shape, has some type of spherical shape. We ain't finding flat nothings out there. Even comets are not flat. Asteroids are not flat. They all, even though rocky and bumpy, they all have some type of spherical shape to it. Every planet has a spherical shape. Every star, a spherical shape. Not saying a perfect ball, but some type of a spherical shape. So no, but the earth is special. The earth got a dome over it and it's flat. Exactly. In Job, he said that he set the pillars of the earth. So we know that the Bible describes the earth being that way multiple times. And we know that that is not a very good scientific observation. We know that it's false. And what did they do to Galileo? They threatened the life of his daughter and they locked his ass up until he would relent and say that he was wrong. What did Copernicus have to do? Copernicus had to wait till he died before he published his findings. Because the church does not act in a scientific manner. Because if you say God is wrong, then now you can question everything about God. Is he actually God? Can he be wrong? Jesus said that God is, you need to try to be perfect as God is perfect, as the Father is perfect. If you can't, if you're perfect, that means that you don't make mistakes. You don't say wrong things. You don't tell people to say wrong things. So we know that that didn't happen. When we look at the things, other things that happened on this whole journey of this 6 days of creation, what we see is that according to this, there was a time frame where there was no light on the earth. The earth was there; it was formless. It was in chaos, uh, but there was no light on it. And then all of a sudden, this guy pops out some light, but somehow he pops out light when there is no sun, no star for to provide light for Earth. We know that the sun is older than the earth, when all of a sudden there's light. And many will say that God is the light, or God just created some light source to just come from nowhere. It's just light. He created the ability for light to exist. It's interesting that they say that God created all these things out of nothingness, when we know that nothingness can exist, but yet they believe that we say nothingness, that creation came out of nothing. But God created out of nothingness. That's an impossibility. And out of this nothingness, he made light. That's an impossibility. And then the earth had light before it had a sun. Well, that's also an impossibility. The nearest star to earth that would not provide enough light for there to be the morning and the evening. It could be the evening all day. It could be the night, but it cannot be the morning. But it's not until the fourth day that the sun is created to provide light for the earth. Doesn't seem to work out in science. We know that the sun was here before the earth was here. There is some scientific hypotheses that are going on right now, whether the earth came out of the sun, as all the planets have. Did all the planets come out of the sun, or did they just coalesce around the sun? It's a good, interesting debate that's going on right now. Most are not. I don't know. I can't say where most are, because I was just reading about it not too long ago, so I can't say where most of them are. But the fact of the matter is, the earth is younger than the sun. But in the Bible version, the sun and the moon are younger than the earth. And then, of course, the moon provides its own light according to the Bible. And we know good and damn well that the moon does not provide its own light. The moon does not shine as its own light. It is a reflection of the light from the sun, which is why we have the moon phases, because of its positioning going around the earth. So we know that that is not scientifically correct. Even though there are some people who are walking around thinking that the moon creates its own light. Yeah, well, yeah, we know that it is a reflection from the sun. So we know that the Bible there too is wrong. And isn't it amazing that you can stick in Genesis and find so many things that the Bible does not align with science? I mean, I'm literally getting bored in my head, because I'm like, I want to get to these other parts, but Genesis just keep on rolling. Like, it's just too much in the creation, just the creation part of Genesis. Because the Noah flood story is in Genesis as well. And we know that that's an impossibility. So, but there's so much in Genesis, just in these 6 days. We know that man was not created from dirt. Man was not created from the dirt. But yet the Bible is claiming that Adam was created from, he took up some dirt and made Adam. So man was not created from dirt. They only believe that, just the same way they believe that the moon created its own light. This is based on their scientific knowledge at their time frame. At their time frame. I mean, somebody just said something that I thought that was interesting. I don't want to give up everything. You know what? I I don't know if many people know this, but Chicky Mary is right. The Earth actually had a different rotational speed in the ancient past when the land masses were in different places. Seasons were different also, right? And the amount of what they're saying is like, and this is not like distance past like biblical time, distant past like 400 million years ago, past, when you had supercontinents. And Pangea wasn't the only time there was a supercontinent on the planet. That's just the last supercontinent, right? But when the continents were closer together, the sea currents were different, the moon's distance from the Earth was different, but but the rotation of the Earth was moving a lot slower, so a day was longer. I mean, the rotation of the Earth was moving faster, so the days were shorter. And we can see some of this evidence in the coral reefs, but also when we look at the distance of the moon, all those things affected how fast the moon is moving away from the Earth. You see, the moon hasn't been moving away from the Earth at about 3 centimeters per year consistently. Millions of years ago, it was moving away at a lesser distance per year. So all these things are constantly changing. They're never the same. They're never constant. Just as the Earth crust movement is always moving. This is why we get mountain ranges that have seashells on top, with fossilized shells on them, because the mountains come from the ocean, but also through volcanic eruption, they come from the ocean. They have these volcanic eruption because of the movement of tectonic plates, and when they rub against each other, which also creates all your earthquakes and things of that nature. So we have a lot of information, a lot of things that are happening on this planet, as it just happens at such a slow rate that most people you're not going to live a lifetime to see a massive change. Let somebody come up here, have a little conversation. I don't want to give up all the information. All right, what's your name? So what's your name? All right, Capone. Are you over 21?
Yes.
All right. So do you believe that the Bible aligns with science, or it doesn't?
It does.
Okay. I don't know how long have you been listening today?
I just stopped by.
Okay.
I saw the title, Prove Bible and Science Align. So that's what I'm here to do.
And what would be your proof of that?
The scriptures in the Bible talks about scientific discoveries before they was discovered.
Such as?
Genesis 1:1.
Okay. So there was light on the earth before there was the sun?
No. Genesis 1:1.
Okay, what does it say? What is your claim? Make your claim.
Genesis 1:1 is my claim.
Mm-hmm.
In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth. Now, when you study in the Big Bang theory,
right?
And it's called a scientific phenomenon. And a scientific phenomenon needs time, space, force, time, force, space, matter, and energy. Time, force, energy, space, and matter. I think I said that. Time,
okay.
Force,
yeah.
Energy, space, and matter, right?
Okay.
And that's what Genesis 1:1 is saying. In the beginning, it's a time. Is the force. Created is the energy. Space is the time, force. Heavens is the space, and the earth is the matter. So they're saying that it's according to science, and I got scholars that back me on this, astrophysicists that back me on this, and philosophers. Genesis 1:1 is talking about a scientific phenomenon, and you can look this up. Time, force, space, and matter.
Okay.
That's science in Genesis 1:1.
So that does not describe the actual Big Bang Theory, because the Big Bang Theory, if you look at it, is not a creation of the universe. It is a creation of our known universe. So what that means is that all the time, space, and matter were already in a universe, and then when the singularity expanded out, then that singularity just became what we know today as our known universe. So it wasn't a beginning of all creation. It was just the re-beginning, the rebirth of the space, time, and matter that was already present, and now just transmuting into another form, which is what turns out to be our known universe. So it wasn't the beginning.
Yeah, but what I'm saying is time, force, energy, space, and matter. Those are the fundamental concepts of studying cosmology.
Okay, but those things you've already said that. You've said that, but what you're not doing is responding to my statement.
You're talking about something else.
No, I'm talking about the exact same thing. That is science. You're utilizing the Big Bang as your comparison of science. You're, sir, exactly. Exactly. But in order for you to demonstrate, in order for you to demonstrate that science aligns with the Bible, does science just make vague things and not get into the details of it? Give me some details of science aligned. Okay, so all right.
What time, it tells you what force, it tells you what energy you use for the force, it tells you what space being the heavens, and it tells you what matter being the earth.
Okay. You don't seem to understand how science works. No, sir. I let you talk. All right. Don't interrupt me every time I start talking. That's the quickest way for this conversation to end. You're not understanding how science works in the framework of, if you were to make a claim, you then have to produce evidence of your claim. So the evidence of Genesis 1:1 would be the preceding verses of Genesis of what are the results of Genesis 1:1. And the results of Genesis 1:1 do not match up with the science. So the results of Genesis 1:1 was because of those results that are in the following verses don't match, are wrong, then Genesis 1:1 is not a scientific conclusion of the beginning of our known universe.
That's a faulty premise. That's a faulty premise in this age, because the results of Genesis 1:1 is the heavens and earth being created.
I don't think you understand what I'm saying. If I say that me and my wife had a baby, what would then be the process of me and her having a baby and the results of me and her having a baby? What do we have to do? What do we have to demonstrate to show that we had a baby?
You have to transfer bodily fluids.
Right. And those bodily fluids, then she had to grow into a fetus, had to grow into a baby in her belly. And then we had to go through the process of the baby being birthed out and cutting the cord and all the other stuff. We got a baby. Right. We had to have sex and do all that to have the baby. So if we said that we had a baby, and you can show that the genes of that baby belong to her and I, then you will be able to look at the process. You know the process in order to get there. What I'm saying is, if this guy created the heavens and the earth, then the process would be demonstrated in our environment. We will be able to see the evidence of it.
So can we? So you want me to show you the process now? Because I'm just stating the premise. Genesis 1:1 is technically a scientific phenomenon, and you can go into the works by
I can see how your mic went off. Oh, he must have got a phone call or something.
To the works of Herbert Spencer. He gave you the 5 scientific principles: time, force, space, energy, and matter. So now you said, what's the process, right?
Yes.
So now the process is you read Genesis 2, maybe 1 and 2, and 3 and 4 and 5. So now when you get to Genesis 3, it says that he said, "Let there be light." Science said that there was a light in the beginning before the sun. That's what we call the cosmic radio background.
No. I'm gonna stop you when there is things that you're saying that are wrong. In Genesis, or for clarification, when it talks about when it says that let there be light, this light shone upon the earth, because then he had the morning and the evening, and then that was the first day.
No, it didn't shine upon the earth. That's your perception.
So you're just saying that the light is just the initial bang, the initial explosion, and that there was.
It's the light, bro. It doesn't matter what. It's not the sun. I'll tell you that right now.
So of course we know it's not the sun, because the sun is not produced. So let's hit the hammer to the nail. Let's get the hammer to the nail. Now hold on. I'm about to ask you a question, sir, because we're not going to go through these long ass diatribes. Let's hit the hammer on the nail. Was the earth created before the sun?
No.
The sun was created before the earth?
The sun was created on the 4th day.
When was the earth created?
The earth, it was a process. The earth was created in the process.
No.
The waters and everything being divided, and the dry land appeared, which will be the earth.
And what day did that happen on?
Whatever day it says in the Bible.
Day 2. So the earth was created before the sun. The land, the water was created.
That's your perception, bro. That's what I'm saying.
How is that? Wait, sir. No, I'm not gonna. No, sir. I am not gonna let you do that bullshit of that's my. What'd you say? Understanding. That is some. You are, because you don't want to admit that the Bible is not scientific. You want to, change the meaning of things and say that that's my perspective or something like that. No, they don't. But, sir, stop.
How much does the Bible agree with science? From what percentage? Let's get a fact check.
First, I'm gonna finish my statement and finish my point before I move on to something different. All right. So it was on. So the 3rd day. So let's just go to the 3rd day. And God said, let the waters under the sky be gathered together into one place, and let the dry land appear. And it was so. And God called the dry land earth, and the waters that were gathered he called the seas. And God saw that it was good. And then God said, let the earth put forth vegetation and plant yielding and all the seed and fruit and so on and so forth. All that happened on the 3rd day. The sun is not created until the 4th day. So the earth is created. Technically, the earth is created on day 2 and day 3. It's created on day 2. It's being more sculpting is going on day 3. So are you going? So if you said that the sun was created Is the sun so is the sun created before the earth or after the earth?
It doesn't matter if it's created before or after it was created. That's what I'm saying.
See, that's
you're making that like that's a big thing when we talk
it
about
is. It is
It's not. No, it's not.
what is the concept of the show? Did the Bible align with science? Science says that so you're saying it doesn't matter that the earth, which one was created first, which one was created second, but the science, sir, stop fucking talking when I'm talking. Sir, if you cannot stop talking when I'm talking, we're gonna end this conversation. I'm not trying to yell over you. I'm trying to have a respectful conversation with you. But if you think that over talking me in order to get your point out is going to work, it's not. And so again, no, you interrupted me in my statement to make a statement, a rebuttal. You weren't asking for clarification. You were making a rebuttal to an unfinished statement. Because if your conversation is about science aligning with the Bible, then you would have to then to say that it doesn't matter if the earth was created before the sun or the sun before the earth, when science demonstrates that the sun is older than the earth. So in order for the Bible to align with science, it has to say the same thing as science. So the age of the earth and the age of the sun matters. You still there? You're on mute. You got your phone on your microphone off. I guess you're looking up something. But I mean, if you don't want to talk, we ain't got to talk.
Yes, like I said, the sun gives light to the earth. So that tells me that the earth had to be made first.
What? The sun gives light to the earth, so that tells you that the earth has to be made first. Okay, but science demonstrates that the earth was made after the sun. The sun wasn't made. And what do you? So you're basing this on a rational.
No, that's not science. What's called made the heliocentric model? What's his name? Not Galileo. Ptolemy. Ptolemy came up with the heliocentric model, and he was using pseudoscience for that.
What does that have to do with what we're talking about?
It has a lot to do. You have to understand the history. You have to understand where the heliocentric model comes from.
Okay, so what is the heliocentric model? Explain it.
It means the sun in the center. Before the heliocentric model, before the Ptolemy came up with the heliocentric model, the science was that the sun moves around the earth.
Okay. And they were wrong. That's the beauty of science. They were wrong. The sun doesn't move around. You think the sun moves around the earth?
The sun travels through gates around the earth, portals.
Wait.
Celestial gates.
Do you believe there's a dome over the earth?
And this is proven.
Do you believe there's a dome over the earth? And no, it's not.
Look them up. There's portals outside of the earth. They're called X points.
Sir, are you a flat earther?
No.
So you don't believe there's a dome over the earth?
No.
But you believe that the sun travels around the earth when we know that the earth travels around the sun?
That's what they tell you.
No, that's
not necessarily true. Actually, the earth is moving a certain amount of speed, and the sun is moving as well at a certain amount of speed.
Yes, we know that. It's like a big tunnel, it's like a big vortex kind of movement of they all moving together, traveling through space, but the earth still revolves around the sun in an elliptical orbit.
No, the sun, if you see, the sun has a path that it makes around the earth. it forms like a infinity symbol or something like that, or a sideways 8.
Do you,
If you ever looked at the path of the sun and how it
okay,
moves around.
it is because of that type of astrological viewing back in the day that people they thought that the sun and the planet Venus and all the other planets moved around the earth. But what but anyway,
No, that's what planet means. Planet means.
sir, you see how I was making a statement and you just want to interrupt again?
No, I'm just.
No. If the sun moved around the earth, and then that would mean that the sun just moves around the earth alone, just the earth. But we can look at through observation of the other planets, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, we can see that those planets revolve around the sun as well. Otherwise, they would not have their days. How does Mars have a day if Mars is not moving around the sun? How would Jupiter have a day if it's not moving around the sun? Because their mere rotation alone would not provide that opportunity for them, because there would be time frames where the sun would not be visible to Mars. But there is no time frame whatsoever where the sun is not visible by Mars for on every and whatever the day cycle is on Mars. I forgot what it is. I think it's a little bit longer than a day than our day. But the only time that Mars would not be able to see the sun is when there's an eclipse made by the Earth, but that doesn't happen that often. So, but Mars has a day every day. It wouldn't be able to have a day every day if it revolved around the sun, if the sun revolved around the Earth. That was some of the he dropped. I feel like I got a headache. I feel like I hit my head against a wall. This is why I was honestly looking for a different subject matter to talk about today. I really didn't want to talk about this one. Oh, he's back. I think he requested back. Phone must have dropped. Oh, your phone dropped? No, that's cool. So I don't know if you heard what I said about how Mars would not be able to have a day if the sun revolved around the Earth.
How did they observe that it's a day on Mars?
By watching the rotation of Mars and then studying the. Oh my God, bruh. Was I finished? Come on, man. It is not that hard. Why is this so hard for people to stop talking when somebody else is talking? I let you pontificate. And I only interrupt for clarity, or when you just say something that is not accurate to whatever we're talking about, to the Bible or something like that. But I was talking about how we watch the rotation of Mars. We study its elliptical orbit around the sun. And that is why we know that Mars revolves around the sun. It's through observation. So that's how we know. And Mars wouldn't be able to do that if the sun was revolving around the Earth.
Mars wouldn't be able to do what?
Have its days. It wouldn't go have an elliptical orbit around the sun if the sun was moving around the Earth. Mars would have to be traveling at such a incredible speed that we will be able to see an increase in its speed around the sun in order for it to keep pace with the sun going around the Earth.
That's what I'm saying. So you have to prove that it's like, that's what I'm saying. You have to show a day on Mars. We have to be able to observe that.
We do. We can. We have been. Over 100 years. Actually longer, but we have been observing a day and have calculated what a day is on Mars.
And what is a day on Mars? Mars has how many moons?
A day on Mars is 24 hours and 36 minutes and 35 seconds. What does that matter?
Because if they have because how we constitute a day, right? We have sun, we have daylight, the sun, and we have moonlight. The night.
The moon, you don't have to have a moon to have night. So that's why I say that a moon doesn't matter.
I understand that it's the rotation on the axis and everything. I'm not talking about. I understand that. Well, this is what I'm saying. If Mars, you said how many moons? 3, 2 moons?
I didn't say at all, but what does a moon matter is what I said.
It does, because the moon has a gravitational pull as well as the planet.
What does that have to do with the fact that Mars has a rotation and it rotates around the sun? And that a Mars day is 24 hours, 39 minutes.
It's not a day.
It's a Martian day.
Rotating around the sun is a year.
No, but I said it has a day on Mars, which is this rotation on its axis, is 24 hours, 39 minutes. And
Yeah, that's rotating on his axis, though.
that's a day.
Talking about it's going around the sun, that's a year.
Okay. I said that I gave you a compounded answer. I said that Mars has its own days and it has its own years. So it could not have it it couldn't have its time frame wouldn't be able to work if it was revolving around a sun that revolved around the Earth, because a year on Mars is 687 days.
Okay, but that's
So
the rotation with the sun moving in its orbit. I mean, in its course, because we know that the sun has a course now. So what is it? Even by the sun moving, we know that the planets, if they are as the sun is moving and they're aligned, they also can go in orbit as well. So yes, the model has changed over the years. You know, first you used to have one with the sun in the center, and then all the planets lined up 1, 2, 3, 4, like that. It's not like that anymore. Now it's the sun, and it's it has the planets, and they all moving through space, all doing their own little thing.
Sir, do you know that it is an unscientific reason as to why it was lined up perfectly with perfect circles? That was not a scientific description. Once it was accepted by the church that the sun was the center of our solar system, because you remember Copernicus was declared a heretic, Galileo was declared a heretic. So it wasn't until much later that the church finally said that, okay. Oh my gosh. Okay.
That's true.
So nobody's questioning that. That's not something I'm questioning. We are in agreement with that, even though you keep stating it. What I am saying is, what I am questioning is your statement that the sun travels around the Earth.
If it's traveling around the galaxy, it's traveling around the Earth. How can you not see that?
Sir, there is no connection between traveling through the galaxy and traveling around the Earth. That has nothing to do with each other. And so is the sun is in the galaxy and the asteroids.
The sun is traveling through the galaxy, and it's traveling around the Earth. Whatever you want to say, the Earth is part of the galaxy.
What kind of logic is that? You are saying that since the Earth is traveling through the galaxy, then the sun must be traveling around the Earth, because the sun is also traveling around the galaxy.
No.
That makes no sense. It's traveling through the galaxy.
It's a part of the galaxy. And so is the other
your conclusion is that the sun is traveling around the earth, which has nothing to do with the fact that our entire solar system is traveling through the galaxy. So is every other solar system within our galaxy is traveling through the galaxy. That does not mean that every other solar system is also traveling around the earth. Based on your logic, everything then is traveling around the earth if it's traveling through the galaxy.
That's not what I was saying.
But that's what you said.
I was saying that the sun moves around. That's all I'm saying. It's traveling.
I agree with you that the sun is moving, sir. I agree with you on that.
Going around.
You said that the sun was traveling around the earth.
Yes, I understand about that.
Okay, stop right there. Stay right there. Stop going 50 miles down the street. The sun is not traveling around the earth. Because if the sun was traveling around the earth, then every other planet would have this flower petal orbit around the sun as it travels around the earth, and then those planets will be traveling at 100x the speed that they're traveling right now, and the system wouldn't work. They wouldn't have the days that they have, they wouldn't have the years that they have.
Well, the system's still working, and they travel for a galaxy. Everything is going around. Everything is going around.
Sir, let me draw for you your cosmology of what you're saying, and maybe you can understand what I'm getting at here. You're saying that this is the earth, right? Okay, that's the earth. All right, this is the sun. You're saying the sun is traveling around the earth, right? Is that what you're saying?
Finish doing what you're doing, man.
No, we got to go through this step by step.
Finish doing what you're doing. Go ahead.
You're saying that the sun travels around the earth, but then you're saying Mars is traveling around the sun, right? Well, we know Mars travels around the sun, so Mars will be doing that. Jupiter would also be doing this. Saturn would be doing this,
Keep going.
right?
Keep going.
As the sun moves around, these
Keep going.
orbits would then be doing these orbits.
See, now you doing it wrong.
No,
The sun makes
sir, stop talking for a second. This still would be the sun. This is still the sun's orbit, right? This is still the sun's orbit. This orbit would be Mars' orbit around the sun as it goes around. Jupiter's orbit would be like this. And then this one would be like this. That's not how the orbits of these planets are working.
You messed up, but you almost made it, bro. Because that's how the galaxy is. That's how the galaxy is.
So do you think that the Earth is in the center of the galaxy? I'm asking.
I didn't say that.
But I'm asking.
I didn't say that.
Oh my goddamn. I'm asking a legit question. Can you answer just a legit question? Sir, you were bringing up bullshit that ain't got nothing to do with our conversation. I'm asking, it's a legitimate question, because in order for you, because the reason why I asked that question is if you're saying that's how the galaxy looks, then that would have to presuppose that the Earth is in the center of the galaxy. And I was merely asking the question to verify that's what you're saying.
From the standpoint being on Earth, we're not at the edge of the galaxy. We're not in the Mars. Look at the Mars is not directly in the center, but it's somewhere in the center, the middle point of the galaxy. It's like slightly off.
The Earth is nowhere near the galactic center. Our solar system is nowhere near the galactic center.
So the choice
No, sir. You know what, sir? You know, here's the thing. This is, and this is with all the politeness I can have in my mind. And my viewers always tell me I'm too damn polite and too patient with people. You have your understanding of the science of the Earth and our solar system and our galaxy. And I'm not trying to sound rude or anything, but in I learned these things in fourth grade. This is fourth grade stuff, that the earth is not, that the sun is not going around the earth, that the earth is nowhere near the galactic center. That's fourth grade things. And in our world today, you can easily Google, easy access. Here we go. Does the sun revolve? Does the sun revolve around the earth? What is the answer? No, the earth revolves around the sun. The sun is an immense gravitational hold on the earth and the other planets in orbit. And this heliocentric model has been confirmed by scientific evidence that the earth revolves around the sun. It's easy. Where I mean, what am I, was I being punked on that one? Was somebody playing a practical joke on me? Was I being tested by the producers of Truth Wanted to see if I'm going to be able to handle some of the stuff on that people are going to talk about on that show on December 5th? You see how I worked in that shameless plug about me being on Truth Wanted on December 5th? Yes, I will be on Truth Wanted December 5th from the Atheist Experience, but they're one of their other shows, Truth Wanted. So join me December 5th for that show. This man legitimately believes that the earth is near the galactic center. We're nowhere near the galactic center. We will be dead. Our species will probably be gone before we get to anywhere near the galactic center. The earth will not be habitable because our sun would have turned into a red giant before we reach the galactic center. But this is how desperate they have to hold on to their Bible, because he tried to say that it doesn't matter if the sun was made before the earth. And it doesn't matter because it doesn't matter to his belief. Is all that mattered. Oh my gosh. And then he talking about there you go, you almost got it. That shit. Let me tell you what somebody did. Have you guys ever seen the Flower of Life pattern? If you've seen the Flower of Life pattern, and that's where I was going to go, that essentially becomes the Flower of Life pattern, right? That's pretty much what you see there is the Flower of Life pattern. And somebody who is convincing people in order to get their money, most likely, has convinced these people that we see the Flower of Life pattern all around us with the flower of life. And this is actually how our universe, how the earth is, and how the sun goes around, because that Flower of Life pattern as we move through the galaxy. And that's why there's life on earth and we haven't found life on any other planet, because those planets don't follow the Flower of Life pattern. You see how the other day I was saying that you can create a religion off of almost anything? And then all you got to say is, well, in scientists and the government, they be lying to you. They lying to you because they don't want you to know the secret of the Flower of Life pattern. Because once you understand the secrets of the Flower of Life pattern, then you'll be able to manifest things and move to the higher conscious levels, in degrees of mind. Literally, I honestly think that that's where this dude is coming from, that he was coming from. Somebody not convinced him of some type of pseudo mysticism of the Flower of Life pattern and have tried to utilize incorrect science to demonstrate it. Because that's all that was. And when I'm having a conversation with someone who is just not even have an ear to listen, it becomes a pointless venture. It's not even it loses it even loses its entertainment value as far as I'm concerned. Y'all might still be entertained by that dumb shit. I wouldn't. How do you see and explain the beginning? The beginning of our known universe? Singularity. Singularity happened, and our known universe expanded, and over billions of years, things coalesced into what they are today. And they are still constantly changing. So that's how the beginning of our known universe started. There's more evidence for that than a God, that's for sure. But the singularity, multiverse singularity theory. Exactly. Kind of like a little kid that sticks out their lips. Wait a minute, what did he say? Kind of like a little kid that sticks out their lips and cross their arms over their chest and refuse to admit that they are wrong. Yeah. Out of Babylon said, I remember I once believed that the earth was a round ball as well. You can't even entertain the thought of it being wrong. Okay, I'm a little bit lost on what your comment is trying to say. Do you think the earth is flat? Do you think the earth has a dome? What is the shape of the earth out of Babylon? How do you believe animal? I don't believe animals came about. We know that all the species on Earth evolved over time. That's something that we just know. We have evidence to show that every species has evolved. Are there gaps in the evolution of species? Yes, there's gaps because because we haven't found a consistent record, but we can see enough. We can see enough that we can cover the gaps. John, how you doing?
I'm good. I've never done a so
Okay.
I was made from the ground.
How old are you again, John? You're 23?
What?
How old are you again? I forgot. I know I've talked to you before. All right. All right. So can you prove that the Bible aligns with science?
Can I prove that the Bible aligns with science?
Yeah.
Science aligns with the Bible. What?
Okay. Then what is your proof that science aligns with the Bible?
It's the fact that not science to faith, but science to study.
You're muffled. John, you were muffled right there, so we couldn't hear anything.
Sorry. I said science to study, not science to faith. But yeah, so with regards to science to study, it actually shows the science behind God's creation.
Give me an example.
Which,
give me an example.
For example, like photosynthesis, right? It gives off, what is it, CO2 to help us breathe, and other plants breathe, right? Something like that. That's a process that God created, right? Just nothing. The fact of the matter is that something can't come from nothing. Something comes from something, and that something's name is Jesus Christ, brother.
Okay, so let's go point for point here, and so you saying that photosynthesis has to happen in order, and you have to be able to prove that your God created photosynthesis, first of all. But you said that photosynthesis happens because God created the photosynthesis, right? So according to your Bible, it was on the third day that God had created all the plants and all the vegetation. The sun wasn't created then. So how would photosynthesis process if there's no sun?
Yeah, there was a sun, not a sun that you think it is.
No, according to your Bible, it says that the sun was created on the fourth day. So on that third day, there was no photosynthesis going on, right?
I'm not talking about it FUA, I'm talking about SOA.
We're talking about science here, sir. I'm not talking about your play on words. The Bible, and you're talking about the creation of the sun, the big ball up there. The sun, no being is creating photosynthesis, is creating the light that allows for photosynthesis. You have no proof of that whatsoever. That's your faith. We're not talking about faith here. We're talking about what you can demonstrate out the Bible that science aligns with.
Yeah, so no, science aligns with God. Science aligns with God. God doesn't align with science.
I said science that aligns with your Bible. I gave you that route. Okay. I just didn't say it the way you said it, but I said the same thing.
Yeah, so with regards to the creation of how photosynthesis works, and it's our belief that the Lord made that process.
Okay, stop right there. That's a belief. We're not here talking about your beliefs. If your Bible doesn't say that your God created photosynthesis, then that's not you can't make that claim. What does your Bible say that your God did that science aligns with?
Yeah, he said all things are created through him and for him.
That it is not aligned with science. Okay, let's go away from something else. Let's go to a different matter, because I'm not going to do this creation shit all day. According to the story in Joshua, your God claimed that he made the sun stop and for 12 hours, stayed in the sky for an extra day, extra like 12 hours. Is that scientifically proven that the sun stopped for 12 hours? Okay, so you're not here to actually talk about the question, the prompt. You're here to talk about your faith. I'm not here to talk about your faith. I could care less about your faith. We're talking about science and the Bible, whether or not they align. Are bats birds?
Here we go with this again.
Is a bat a bird? Yeah. Is a bat a bird?
Oh my gosh, I don't want to answer that. I don't know, brother. Like, I genuinely.
How is it that you don't know?
Another atheist asked me that. That's why the question you guys ask questions, it makes no sense though. But I'm not.
Why does it make no sense? Why doesn't? It's not a trap question. It's just the state. It's just the fact that your God called bats birds, and they're not. They're mammals.
I want to answer that. Whatever God says goes.
So, bats are birds, even though they are not of the same species. They do not reproduce. They do not reproduce the same way. Bats do not have beaks.
So there's no issue. Be mad. It's not a charge.
Apples and oranges. Apples and oranges. You're being intellectually dishonest, because you know, and that's why you don't want to answer the question, because you know it's not. Okay, so the flood, there's not enough water on the earth, below the earth, above the earth to flood the whole planet. No, it's not. There's not enough water. Science has proven that there's not enough water to cover the earth. Okay, John, I see that you are incapable of having an intellectually honest conversation, so I'm going to drop you. I'm not in that mood today. I'm not. I care less about your faith. Your faith doesn't matter. Doesn't matter at all. And if your whole answer is because the Bible says so, then there's no point in having a conversation, because I don't argue faith. There's no point in arguing faith. That's your emotions. It's faith. Your emotions are your emotions. So you can have your emotions. So whatever God, I know, right? He said, whatever God says goes. I guess genociding babies go too, and slavery goes, and treating women as property goes, and since anything God says goes, killing a girl because she's not a virgin on her wedding night goes, making a girl marry her essayist goes, genociding people and forcing the young girls to not know the man to be your wife that's good. That goes too. Mm-mm-mm. Now, I've heard this argument before that Dominique put up here. Bats are birds by human classification. Maybe God's classification is different, like anything that can fly, for example. Then if that was the class, okay, so one, I'm going to say that the reason why that bats were classified as birds is because that's how the people who were writing Leviticus at that time frame classified bats as birds, not your God. Because if God was, if you say that anything that flies can be classified as a bird based on God's standard, then he would not have made this, then they would not have made the separation between insects that fly. Because people of that day understood the difference between insects, birds, animals that walked on the ground, and animals that lived in the oceans. So it was the people's classification at the time frame that they wrote it. Because anything that flies, then what's them things called? Not a cricket. Hell, a roach. I hate them little fuckers here in, that's all over, especially in Florida. Them water bugs fly. Is that a bird? It's not. It's not a bird, is it? No. So it can't be anything that fly. So it was basically, we can see the evolution of science through the observation of people throughout centuries and centuries and centuries. The beauty is that as we learn more, we understand more, we recognize the differences. We start to recognize those differences. So the people and the time frame of Leviticus, when it was being written in around 600s to late 700s BCE, those people thought bats were birds. Those people did know the difference between an insect that flies and a bird. So all these things are being written based on how people viewed their scientific knowledge of that day. This is why they thought that the moon gave off its own light. But then as we advance in science, we recognize that the moon does not give off its own light, that the moon is simply reflecting light. So just like the other guy, he did have one aspect. Back in the day, they thought that the Earth was in the center of the center of our solar system and the center of our universe. But then as time goes on, through observation, through watching the movements of heavenly bodies, we recognize that the Earth is not, because the math don't math. And that's the beauty of science. It's like you have this idea, you think that the Earth is in the center, but as you watch, you're like, okay, if the Earth is the center, then with math, Venus should rise over here. But then Venus doesn't rise over there. So then the math must be wrong. But when you can't figure out the math, then you have to change your whole presupposition and say that, well, if the sun was in the center and the Earth was revolving around the sun and Venus was revolving around the sun, then the math would show that Venus would rise in the Earth sky right there. And then it does. And so then you have a scientific revelation of a new truth, which then turns out to be a objective truth. Because now we got satellites and all kind of shit going out there that we can actually, we know for damn sure, objectively, that the Earth revolves around the sun, and so does every other planet in our solar system. And then when something new happens that we don't understand, science then starts to look at what forces, what things could be occurring to cause this anomaly to happen. And then, but what do religious people and alien fanatics do? They say, what is it? AI Atlas, A3 Atlas, whatever it's called. It's the aliens, it's a spaceship. No. It's doing things that we've never seen a celestial body do. And so now the scientists are all in it. They're giddy like it's Christmas every day because they got something new to study. There's something new to find out. Why is AI Atlas, whatever it's called, doing things differently than what we've observed everything else that is similar to it is doing? Science don't jump to God. Science don't jump to aliens. Let's find out that maybe there's a physical force out there that we don't understand, that we don't know. Maybe there's more that we will learn about gravity, or more we'll learn about centrifugal force, or more we'll learn about torque, or all kinds of other things. But there's more to learn. The God people is God. Just like with this AI Atlas, it's aliens. The alien people, they were having a great time with that thing. I would love for there to be aliens. Come and take me away from this damn place. Hopefully y'all got a better society. Which do you think is worse, God or aliens? I'm thinking that's what you're asking. God. The God of the Bible would truly be worse than aliens. I'd rather have Cleons come to Earth. I'd rather have the xenomorphs come to Earth than to deal with than the God of the Bible. What do you think about Ezekiel's wheel? He was on some shrooms. I don't think he saw aliens. I don't think anyone has ever proven any aliens have ever existed. If there's some, I think there's a higher probability of a pre-Ice Age civilization that was more advanced, and they was on the brink of death, and they took one last gasp at trying to revive their civilization. We got to prove some aliens, but let's not get too far off base here. Now, Dominic, that is a more of a new age way of people trying to explain what the Bible is saying in Genesis about the firmament just being outer space. The sun, the moon, and stars are placed in the firmament, which just means outer space. But no, it doesn't mean outer space. The word firmament there in the Bible means a dome of a covering, right? Something that covers. So it is not talking about outer space. This is why later on in the Bible, in Genesis, when it says that the God opened the windows of the firmament, which actually the word there would mean portals, but the portals or windows of the firmament, because they believe that blue shit up in the sky right now is water. So it's not space. Space does not have water floating around in it. So they literally meant that. But now people are trying to renegotiate the Bible in Genesis to say that the firmament is just outer space. No. Because like I said, you come into that problem when every time the Bible says that God opened the windows of heaven so that the water can pour down. And it's not just the biblical people who thought that. Chinese thought that, Egyptians thought that, Sumerians, Akkadians. A lot of these jokers thought that there was a dome over the planet. Constantine, how old are you?
What's up, man?
How you doing? 25, all right. Are you a believer in the Bible? Okay. So, do you believe that the science and the Bible align with one another?
I believe that. Well, it depends on when you say science. I just believe that everything exists in the mind of God. So there is no like temporal or like the space of God. There's no real such thing as like matter or physical. Everything is in a state of affairs in the mind of God. So
Interesting. I want to go somewhere else, but I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued by the fact that you said that everything exists in the mind of God. Why do you say that? I don't want to assume why you say that. Why do you say that?
yeah, so all reality ultimately exists in the mind of God, right? So physical reality is just dependent on God's perception of existing in His consciousness. So
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the reason, like, what you mean you need justification, or
Yeah, give me a justification for that.
yeah. So I mean, this is basically just Christian idealism. So in other words, what I'm saying is, I God is the ultimate reality. All things exist through Him, and all created things are in God's mind of their existence. So the justification for that is, what I argue is that, let's say nothing exists independently. All contingent beings derive their being from God's perception.
Okay. So, have you ever read the Kybalion?
Have I read the what?
Kybalion. Kybalion.
Say that again. I mean, my friend Q-Top's down with man. He's a cool dude for you to meet.
Okay, he can come up next. I only do one person at a time.
Yeah.
The Kybalion. So it talks about the Kybalion is a shorthand rendition of the 7 Hermetic principles. And one of those principles is, and that's one of the primary principles, is that we all everything exists in the mind of the all. That nothing.
Are you just talking about idealism as Berkeley posted, or as Berkeley posited it?
I don't know who Berkeley.
Are you talking about an Eastern rendition?
I don't know who Berkeley.
Sounds very Eastern.
I don't know who Berkeley is. This comes out of the philosophies throughout Egypt and Mesopotamia.
Yeah, so it would be an Eastern philosophy. Yeah, so in other words, it's sort of a rebrand. I don't know which one would come first.
Who is Berkeley?
The Eastern view or the Western view, but idealism is simply just that was positioned by Berkeley, but I'm not holding it specifically.
Who is Berkeley? Who is that?
Actually, the University of Berkeley was named after him.
Oh, okay, so this is way long before him. This is ancient information.
Yeah, so in the Eastern, sometimes it predates, right? So the same thing we can say with like Seymour or Thomas Aquinas. But my position is that God is the ultimate reality that exists through Him, and all created things are in God's mind for their existence. And my justification with that would be like the logic that you use, that you infer on this panel, has a universal nature to it. It is not material, but it exists with certain invariants. So therefore, there's a mind dependency for all logic to be inferred. So you're just utilizing the logic of God's mind.
Okay, so why? So then, why would so do you believe in the Bible, though, right?
Yeah, I believe the Bible's revelation, but she has to understand.
Okay. Look. Hey, wait, stop. This is one thing that we're going to have to do. If I ask a question, I have more to ask or more to state. Don't just go rambling off, okay? Because now you're presupposing what I'm thinking, why, or the why of my question. So if you believe in the Bible, then, and that this God is the God that we exist in the mind of, wrote the Bible or inspired the Bible, then the information that is provided then must fit with how nature is functioning, because this God in his mind created these forces of nature and this matter form in order to function the way it functions, right?
Yeah, if we're in the mind of God, it's revealed to you in His time. So it's physical time. So what is revealed on physical realms? So your argument of physical nature, what coincides to the nature of reality, doesn't necessarily follow from my position. So you're attacking at the point.
I'm attacking the point, and I'm going to use. Oh my God, bruh, stop doing that. Okay. You're doing two things that are very irritating. You cutting me off, and then you're trying to win an argument by using big words. which are not giving the overwhelming majority of people any understanding of what you're talking about. All right. So stop interrupting me, please, because that's frustrating. And we will just stop the conversation. So my point is that I'm attacking, as you put it, is the fact that if your God was to, and I understand the theory of over time, things are revealed for people at a level that they may be able to understand is revealing. Okay, so what is your position then? Because, like I said, what is it then?
Yeah, so I have to clarify.
Sure.
Yeah, we fit the sense of scientific from moral theological teaching because it seems like to conflate different types of truths, either moral, spiritual, historical, and scientific. But the Bible is a scientific textbook and since it's revealed in time. There's no such physical substances in ontology within the nature of how you perceive it. Then your question doesn't follow because it's categorically distinct.
No, because I want to prove a point here. If in the comments, if y'all understood what his clarifying question was, put a 1 in the comment if you understood what he was talking about. Put a 2 in the comment if it just sounded like a whole bunch of big word babble. And I'm not. And the reason, hold on. The reason why I'm asking, why I say that, is because when you're talking to a broad scope of people, you have to be able to express yourself in a way that the majority of people are going to be able to understand. You see the 2s that you're getting here on TikTok, and I know you can't see what's on Facebook and YouTube, but you're just only going to see what's on TikTok. So you got people on TikTok, and this is, I'm not trying to like make you look bad or nothing like that. Don't take it that way. The thing is that if you come on people's podcasts, you have to be able to, you have to realize you have to speak in a way that most other people can understand what you're saying. Otherwise, it's just a whole bunch of babble to them. You know what I mean? It's like a high school teacher trying to teach third graders, not saying that the people are third graders, but it's like a college professor trying to teach third graders, but by only using words that you would only know if you were in college.
Let me ask you this, let me break it down for you a little bit. I don't mind clarifying, right? So all created things are God's mind for existence. If you want to explain that, I can. So God is the ultimate reality.
No, what
exists is contingent and receives being from him. So you have some questions about the Bible.
What I want you to explain is, which is what my question was, how is it that if we're all existing in the mind of this God, that things that he has inspired to be written in his book do not match what we can observe and repeat and see in our physical world as far as science is concerned, or things that we just know, like we know that bats aren't birds?
Yeah, so the problem is if anything exists in God's mind, what you're saying is why is the world perfectly magical to see it? Is that correct?
Yeah, it should match. If God said that something happened, it should happen.
So, in my position, physical objects are sustained by God's mind. They are not necessarily illusions. They are specifically real to you. But what we call the physical world is real, but its existence depends continuously on God's perception and will. So, in other words, things that exist in the mind of God are physically real to us. So, your perception is what is flawed because human perception is limited. So we don't see God's perspective. We see reality through our finite senses and minds. So chaos, decay, and perfection reflect the limitations of our perspective, not the figure of God's sustaining reality.
So why would a God create a perspective for us? Will create a situation where our perspective is going to be different from the.
You're saying create as if there's something to create. There's just something that always was. The mind of God always is, always was.
Yeah, you can't prove that. First of all, that's something that you cannot prove.
Yeah.
And I'm just, of course I can prove that I'm not AI because I'm not, but I can prove to it. My metric of evidence that I have existed before AI ever came into existence. You can find video, you can find documents, you can find. Okay, Yeah,
Anything on the side where
there are plenty of scientific methods that can be utilized to prove that I existed before AI ever came into being. You can go and find my medical records. You can go and find the blood that is still stored within the United States Marine Corps. That is my blood. And you can take a sample of my blood now and match it to that blood and know that I existed before AI ever existed. So yes, you can prove through scientific methods that I have always existed, that I exist and I'm not AI. But to get to the point of things is the fact that if your God is you have to prove that your God is that, first of all. But then secondary to that, your claim is that we are seeing things from our perspective and not from God's perspective. So we're going to see things differently. But if your God is saying that certain scientific things are in existence, but his science doesn't match what the reality is, then your God is wrong. It doesn't fit. Oh, he ran. These people amaze me. They go and they learn a bunch of big words and big ways of philosophizing things or expressing things, and which then hardly anybody listening knows what you're talking about. You're wasting breath. And then you're not making a good argument. I'm a big word myself into trying to win an argument by saying a whole bunch of things. And then every time you express it, the counter to it, then I'm going to say that, well, you're just that's not what I said. That's not what I said. It's one of the worst ways to try to win a debate, in my opinion. Perfect pitch, I think. Perfect pain. What was it? What's your name? All right. I was going to say, I'm going to call you Pain. If you don't mind, I'm going to just call you Pain. Are you over 21? Okay. And are you a believer in the Bible? Okay. Do you believe No, go ahead. You said you really just have a question, I guess. 1971. Hold on. Wait. Oh, that was good. That was good. I got to check that. Oh, that was good. That would be surprising information to me. That would be new information. That would be new information. Oh shit, he's right. AI was not invented at a single point, but the field was formally established in 1956 at the Dartmouth Workshop, where the term artificial intelligence was coined by John McCarthy. Foundational work leading up to includes Alan Turing's 1950 paper proposing the Turing test and earlier theoretical works on machines and intelligence notes. Okay. I'm having a little problem with that first now, because that's not saying it was artificial intelligence was officially created in 1956. This seems like the idea of it. That it was used in 1955, the term artificial intelligence was first used in a proposal for a workshop by John McCarthy. The initial period saw rapid growth in the funding of AI research from 56 to 6 into the 60s. How would I ask this question in order to get the answer? When was AI? No, not the term. The 1950s is the birth of the field of artificial intelligence. I know I'm going way off, y'all, but this is intriguing to me, so I am sorry. This is how I spend some of my time in my day. I have a question like this, and then I'm going to go down this freaking rabbit hole. I don't want to know when the AI term was first used. When was AI? When was the first AI machine it keeps giving me the same thing about their workshop and their use of the word. This is irritating. No, even when I put in first AI system or model, it still comes up talking about when they first termed the phrase AI and began their workshops and that bullshit. Okay, I think I found something else here. So I'm finding a bunch of papers on people writing about AI in the 50s and 60s. But I'm not finding when the first AI model or machine was ever in 71. It demonstrated the ability of a computer to understand English sentences in a restricted world of children's books in a couple of languages. I mean, AI is this. It looks like it's something that developed over a longer period of time. The concept of it began in 1950, but I'm not seeing anything that demonstrates an actual AI program or usage of AI prior, to 1971. Actually, I see one for 1971, which is interesting that it's in the year that I was born, where they had it just demonstrated the ability to understand English sentences in children's books. Yeah, this is okay. Nah, I was going to give him credit and say that he won, that he got me on that one, but I can't. I want to give you credit, Payne, but I can't give you credit. Right? I really want to, though. I actually enjoy when somebody corrects me on something because I learned something that day. Yeah, I don't have a microphone. I have a microphone that I can plug into TikTok, but every time I allow somebody to come onto TikTok, then I have to take the microphone out. So I got to figure out a methodology so that TikTok is not like that, where I can have a microphone for TikTok, but still be able to let people hear what people are saying on TikTok since I'm using two different devices. I guess the main thing is, when we get more memberships on Facebook, YouTube, and Facebook, and get more subscription holders memberships on YouTube and more subscription holders on Facebook, and super fans on TikTok, then maybe I go and spend the money to get a system that allows me to be able to broadcast all on one feed, and then we won't have that problem. Yeah, so join that membership. You see how that shameless plug. Now, I understand that concept of AI is old and the work on AI is old, but I didn't see in that quick search, and I'm going to wait. I'm going to spend some freaking time on this. I don't see where it being put into a viable use happening before 1971. That's what my struggle was when I was just taking that quick little run down the AI timeline. And that's what I'm thinking. That's what I need to see in order for me to accept what he's saying. But 1956, I'm not accepting that one. That's just when they coined the phrase and started talking about AI. I need to see when it was developed, where it was where there was some implementation of AI, and AI became its own, thing. I mean, I see in 1991 that Dart scheduling application deployed in the first Gulf War paid back DARPA's investment of 30 years of AI research. But research doesn't mean that they had it, that it was working. I know we wasn't using no goddamn. When my level of involvement in the Gulf War had no, there wasn't no AI involved. Boots on the ground. We were still using punch cards back then. I don't know if there's any proof. I can't say there's any proof that the military was using AI beforehand. What I can say is that the military notoriously uses things before it's released to civilians. Like college and other government agencies were using intranet before it became the internet. Like we were using an intranet when I first came into the military. We still had to use punch cards though. So it was an intranet that we was using. So a closed internet. The World Wide Web scenario didn't come about to 94, 93, 94. And then wasn't really released to the public until 95. But even still, the version of AI that he was talking about of how does he know he's not talking to an AI and not a real person? What I can guarantee and say is that there was no level of AI to the point of you may think that I'm AI in the 1950s. No. To be able to decoy a human, to create a whole human and have it talk to you, understand you, respond to you, that was not in the 1950s. That wasn't in the 1970s. You didn't have that. And he was referring to AI as we have it today, where did y'all know that there's a top Billboard artist who is a complete AI? I'm telling you. I'm scheduling, and the only reason I didn't put it out already is because the Eventbrite was doing some funky stuff last night. But I'm going to do a webinar on 9 businesses you need to start in 2026. And this is just how the world is moving. And if you don't move with the world, you're going to find yourself left behind. You're going to find yourself in the backseat. Some people are going to lose their jobs. Some people are going to lose their careers. How society will function in the next. Okay, it's corrected itself now. Finally, how people are going to be able to move, it's going to be different. You're not going to be able to. There's so many things that's going to change, and if you don't change with it, you're going to find yourself at a loss. So I am doing a webinar on 9 businesses you need to start in 2026, especially if you find yourself in a dying industry. You got to get started. You got to start changing with the times. Like literally, you're going to see in the next 4 or 5 years or less, you will see the first. You will start to see internet celebrities or celebrities, period. And they're an AI, totally AI. AI was introduced and implemented in the 1980s. That's what I was surmising thus far about AI. What was going on prior to the 80s was just research into it, basic level stuff. What you're going to see in the next few years, though, it's going to be amazing. So his whole little thing about am I AI was dumb. Right. So they only bring it out if they can make money off of it. Yeah. So, and like I said, y'all definitely want to do you if you know that you need to get up on your horse, you might want to jump on it. You probably want to be a part of this webinar that I'm going to do about 9 businesses you need to start in 2026. Think about all those taxi drivers who spent all them thousands and tens of thousands of dollars on medallions, and now those medallions ain't worth shit. They're not worth anything. You're gonna see some industries that just disappear. You're already going to the grocery store, and how many cashiers are there? How many cashiers are there? They're going away. In the next 30, 40 years, it will probably be illegal for you to drive a car. You will have to have a self-driving car. If you are driving your own car, you will most likely be paying an extra premium on insurance, and there will be parts of the road that you cannot drive on unless you're in a self-driving car. I guarantee the first system of roadways that will go away that you have to have a self-driving car is going to be the interstates. And then after a while, some of your major state highways, your major roads, and you will not be able to drive a self-driving car. Self-driving cars will be gone or illegal or severely minimized within the next 30 to 40 years. Truck drivers will not exist in 30 to 40 years. But even right now, the same way that the malls are going, if your job involves that at all, no. You said, where's the link? Actually, I just published it like a few minutes ago. It says, did it publish it? I hit the publish button. If it finishes review and able to be published before the end of this show today, I'll put the link on this broadcast and start putting it out there even more so, because I'm doing it on the 14th of December. It's going to be on the 14th of December, which is a Sunday, 5 to 8 p.m. Central Standard Time frame. I keep hitting publish and it won't publish for some strange reason. Is there something I am not doing? I changed that to that. I know I'm having like dead air right now, and that's not good. You shouldn't have dead air. That's because my computer is 5 years old. All right. And in 5 years, most of y'all won't even have a cell phone. Yeah. We'll get to that later. Let's get back to the subject matter. I'll figure it out. Yeah, your driving industry is going to be gone. Anybody who's driving, if you're driving Lyft and all that kind of stuff, and that's going to go away. As Waymo starts to get bigger, Lyft and Uber is going to change over to the same style as Waymo. Right. Boss lady said, I don't like having my groceries delivered. They don't be getting the right. Sorry, but most of your groceries are going to have to be done that way. At some point, the grocery store is going to realize that it is much cheaper for them to just have warehouses where people are just filling orders and the groceries are being delivered by a driverless car. And your grocery will just be delivered. And farmers markets will still exist to a certain degree. just the way it's going. I mean, hell, look at what COVID did to the churches. Look what COVID killed churches. All of a sudden, people aren't going to church anymore. People are still Christian, but they start streaming it, watching it online. Now these churches own these big ass buildings that they have these big ass mortgages for, and the people just aren't there. And when people aren't there, they're not getting that money. If you don't believe that change is going to happen, change is always happening. You got to be on the change. I don't like people picking my perishables. So you better get with it. So back to our conversation. Do you understand the catastrophic nature of what would happen on this planet if what Joshua said about the sun stood still for extra, 12 hours? That would mean that the Earth rotation would have to have stopped. If the Earth all of a sudden stopped this rotation, there would have been massive tidal waves. There would have been Earth crust displacement happening all over the planet. Volcanic eruptions galore. Tsunamis everywhere. Do you remember that movie 2012? 2012, the movie 2012 would be a picnic if the Earth just took a sudden stop on its rotation. Because you got to remember, the Earth crust floats. The winds are not attached to the Earth movement. So, just for update, Constantine, his system crapped out on him. So that's why he dropped off the show. His system crapped out. But if Joshua is correct, if you were to believe the Bible and Joshua's statement about the fact that the Earth stopped rotating for 12 hours, then the level of destruction that would have happened all over the planet would have been such that every civilization on the planet would have been destroyed. Y'all are still talking about people picking out y'all groceries. Stop talking about people picking out y'all groceries. And one of the things that Christians often try to say about the Joshua story is that he was using it as a metaphor. He didn't mean it literally. This is how church doctrine has changed the idea of it. But if you were to take yourself and your modern time frame out of it, because we know scientifically that is an impossibility. But if you were to go back about 500 years, you don't even have to go back to the time frame of Joshua. That is, Joshua claims to have existed. You could just go back 500 years ago. Before there was knowledge of tectonic plates, before there was knowledge of the Earth crust, and before people thought that the sun and the moon revolved around the Earth, because that would be 500 years, right? Yeah, so that would be 1500. So yeah, 500 years, 600 maybe, 600 years ago. They believed that the Earth was the center of our solar system, center of the universe, and that everything revolved around the Earth. The Earth didn't spin. So for them, they literally believed that the Earth stood still. I mean, that the sun stood still in the sky. Churches only started calling that story a metaphor because science showed that the Earth is moving. So now that we know that the Earth is moving, we have to change that. And so for the last 300-400 years, the doctrine of the church had to change. And since that doctrine changed, now people are saying, oh, it's just a metaphor, just a metaphor. It didn't really happen that way. It didn't happen that way. But that's not what they believed. That's only what we know. Because I asked that question when I was in church, when I was a kid. I asked that question, like, hey, this thing should have happened. How can that be? How is that possible? And of course, they were, at first, the first churches I was in, it was like, oh no, it's if God said he did it, then he did it. But no. Then as I went to more educated churches, with more highly educated pastors, those pastors then start giving me the doctrine, the change of the doctrine. And the change of the doctrine was that, oh yeah, no, the earth, that was a metaphor. No, that's not what people believed beforehand. And that's the thing about it. People change the doctrine of the church. The more science we find out, the more science we learn, then the doctrine changes. And we can see that evolution through church. We can see that through church doctrine, how it keeps changing. Okay, for everybody on Facebook and YouTube, this is the Eventbrite link. I don't know if it'll publish the whole damn thing in the comments. That's the Eventbrite link. I don't know if you'll be able to click on that. What I'm also going to do, which is something that I forgot to do. God dang it, I forgot to do this. I'm going to go over into the actual live and put it in and put that link in the description as well for the event. So over on Facebook and YouTube, especially on YouTube, you will be able to join me for a webinar that I'm doing called 9 Businesses You Need to Start in 2026. Because I don't just talk about this stuff. And I didn't turn this on either. Why is there 2 of them? Oh, because of the thing. So I got to put it on here twice. I got caught in some random stuff this morning, so that's why I wasn't fully ready today and got everything done the way I normally get it done. I need somebody to click on that link that I put in the comments and let me know if that link actually worked on Facebook and YouTube. You ain't got to sign up for it. I just want to know if it works by putting it in the comment section. I'm not exactly sure if it works. But what I will do is, and then we go to the Facebook one too. And put it in the description on Facebook. I don't want the Facebook people mad at me. But yeah, so I know people are, the Christians are going to say that it's a metaphor, but it's not. Those people took that literally. When they wrote it, they meant it literally. It was not meant figuratively. It wasn't meant as a metaphor. They literally meant that thing. And that's one of the problems with believing in this book, because it is forever changing in how people believe it and how people participate in it. And until you, and unless you open your mind to see that, well, this can't be it. This can't work. They must not have known what we know today. And so because they didn't know what we know today, they took these things literally. They thought this is how the universe worked. It matches up for them because that was their mindset. And if a person was writing a Bible today, no one would write that the sun stood still for 12 hours because they would know that that information is completely wrong. That the average person would look at that and be like, that's bullshit. Not that I'm trying to get into Islam, because I'm not going to get into Islam. It's the same way that anyone who wrote the Quran today would not say that Muhammad split the moon. We wouldn't say that. They're not going to say that. But when you're writing after the fact, you can claim it. Who's going to challenge it? Say that he flew off on a winged horse. They believe Pegasus existed. And maybe there was a time that Pegasus existed. But we haven't found any remnants of a Pegasus. Oh, it says the event can't be found. It's still saying that I haven't published it, which is irritating to me because I hit the publish button. Let me. Let me go in here again. But yeah, so when the Bible makes these statements about when it makes these statements that, hey, the earth stood still, then you have to understand that they're reading this from a time frame where they thought that the earth was standing still already. Right? And that's what they believed. We know that's absurd today. Okay, click on the link now. Yeah, click on the link now and make sure it works for me. If somebody can click on that link, I'll post it again. If somebody can click on that link again, just to make sure it works for me, I would greatly appreciate it. All right. They say that God and his word doesn't change, but the New and Old Testament contradicts each other, make it make sense. And that is because there are centuries and centuries of time that has passed. And so with those centuries passing, people come away with different ideas, different thought processes. Let's talk to Mark. We're going to talk to Mark so we can get back on track. Okay, thank you. It works. Thank you. Appreciate you guys. Appreciate you. I was going to do it on a Monday because I wanted to see who really, really was interested. I didn't just want some people who just wasting my damn time. Because if you would do it on a Monday, then I know you're interested. But then I was like, do I want to do it on a Monday? And I said, no, I don't. If I do it on a Sunday, I still get to spend quality time with my wife and still get to go do that. So that's why I'm doing it on a Sunday instead of a Monday. I didn't look at the football schedule, though. I should have looked at the football schedule. If I miss a Falcons game, I'll be mad at y'all. Or a basketball game, I'll be mad at myself. But anyway, it's all right. Genesis account is confirmed throughout the Bible. No, it's not. It's not. There's no. The Genesis account doesn't confirm much of nothing from the Bible. I mean, from science. But yeah, so as these religions evolve, and they evolve based on their cultural understandings, but also they evolve based on their scientific understandings. Back then, they believed that people had, people who had schizophrenia, that they had demons inside them. This is why you got Jesus, the Jesus character, trying to snatch some demons out this young man's head that's chained to this rock because he got schizophrenia. It's most likely this young man had schizophrenia, but they saw it as demons. As modern medicine grows, we recognize that, no, the young man did not have demons. He had schizophrenia. And the demons running off in the pigs and the pigs running over a cliff, that's just added artistic license. But that's how the Bible is written. You cannot demonstrate all the miracles that Jesus claimed that he did. He claimed that other people will be able to come and do those things as well. The apostles are claimed to have done some of those same things that Jesus did. But why hasn't anybody else done them? Why aren't people able to do those things today? There has been not one time that someone has been able to scientifically document that a person healed another person, that people prayed for them and they were healed. Not one. No amputees have grown back legs or arms. It's never happened. There are plenty of people who are deaf. No one's ever healed them of their hearing, except for science. Hearing aids. I love those videos where a person who's colorblind now have these specialized glasses where now they can see color because their emotional output. But no one has never laid hands on a person who was colorblind and that person, and that's simple. I ain't talking about healing the blind. Healing the blind, that's a big deal. Heal a person who's colorblind. No, it took science for a person who's colorblind to be able to see color. It took science for a person who is deaf to be able to hear with hearing aids and other surgeries. When did you ever go to see somebody tear an ACL, pop an Achilles, break their back, and somebody go and heal them? We don't always have to make it life-threatening. Find a simple one. There's a video of them arresting a Chucky doll. Okay. What would that prove? Did they prosecute the Chucky doll? Did they put the Chucky doll in jail? What? I mean, that's evidence of. I would have to dig more into that. I know you said that before, Chuck Norris, but I didn't research it at all, to be honest, about a Chucky doll being arrested in Mexico because I thought you was making a joke. But this, I guess you're serious about a Chucky doll being arrested. Yeah, I gotta look at this. I'm sorry. I gotta look at this. I gotta see what this is about. Demon Chucky doll arrested in Mexico for wielding a real knife. I don't know how much of the New York Post is going to allow me to be able to look at this because, they want money. They didn't want to play. Cops in Mexico arrested a Chucky doll used by its owner to terrorize people. Okay, so we already have a problem with this story. Carlos used Chucky, considered a demon doll by authorities there, to wield a large knife and a real knife to frighten locals. The devious duo was arrested for disturbing the public order and endangering the public in Monclova, a city of northwestern Mexico state of Coahuila, on September 11th. Carlos allegedly was in the main square of the city under the influence of illicit substance. Juan Raul Escalor, the former director of the Moscovia police, told the outlet. Yeah, they arrested, and he taking pictures of the damn Chucky doll, y'all. He put the doll in the faces and was scaring people. He put the doll in their faces and was scaring people. It was an offense. For this reason, he was arrested. They were taken to the police and both were handcuffed and had their mugshots taken. The handcuffed doll, which had the knife sticking out of its signature denim overall, was propped up against the wall and held by his hair as the photo was snapped. Officer who put Chuck in the. Okay. All right. So that's not evidence. That's that's evidence that a man, it clearly says the man used the Chucky doll. That he put the knife in it, in the Chucky doll's denim jeans, and put it in people's faces. That's not the Chucky doll actually doing something. I need to see Chucky running down the street by himself, and not some animatronic version of it either. Okay. So Chuck Norris, I'm back to thinking that you put that on here as a joke. For a second, I thought you was being serious. So you got me. So somebody used the lore of Chucky in order, and a drugged out person used the lore of Chucky to scare people in Monclova. That's, oh man, that's funny. That's funny. That the fact that people actually believe that the Chucky doll is possessed because of a movie is very interesting to me. But you got me, Chucky. You got me on that one. I'm gonna give you that one. I'm gonna let you have that one as a joke. You got me. I'm mad that the only thing I'm glad that I'm doing the Truth Wanted show on December 5th. The only thing that I wish it was a different day, because here in San Antonio there's a Krampus parade on December 5th. I would love to go to the Krampus parade. I'm gonna tell my wife that she should go ahead and she should get her coworkers to go with her to the Krampus parade. That seemed like some shit right up her coworkers' alley. Because they're a bunch of crazy people anyway. But I'm sure there's, so if I bought a carry car and I start running people over, is it the demon in the carry car, or is it me, the driver, that's running people over? You see what I'm saying? There is literally no scientific proof of anything supernatural. What we call supernatural is just natural things that happen. Oh, it's the Christine cards. Thank you. This is just things that happen in the natural that we don't have an explanation of. That's it. We don't have an explanation of it. But once we have an explanation of it, it ceases being the supernatural. Now it's just natural. It's kind of like when they was using medicines and things like that from going and getting plants, and it was considered supernatural. And then as it became common knowledge, then it just became medicine, just natural. But the problem with the Bible is that we find things that the Bible just straight up gets wrong. It just straight gets it wrong. The fact that humans just appeared on the planet when we can see the evolutionary pathway of humans from a common ancestor, from some hominid way back in the day. And we can see the split offs from that. When the hominid became titled as Homo whatever, then we see split offs of the Homo erectus. We see the split off of the Neanderthal. We see the split off of all the other types of homos. And I mean that as far as the hominid. I know some of you smart asses are going to say something different until we get to Homo sapiens. And who knows? Maybe in 10,000 years, if our species is still on the planet, our species will go through another evolutionary change, and they will call themselves, what do the X-Men call them? Homo superiors. Start to be able to use telepathy to speak with one another. Oh, now we're Homo superior. To be able to gain energy just by absorbing surrounding energy and not having to eat, then we are Homo superior. To self teleport or something, or to telekinesis, then we are Homo superior. Does that mean that they would still be able to see how there was a time where we couldn't do that. We are always in a constant stage of changing. Man has gotten taller. Thank you for reminding me, Anthony Hughes. I completely forgot to post the invite. Appreciate it. Oh, Kevin said I'm a hetero superior. I'm one of those people where I don't let people take a word. You know, I'm not gonna let you take a word just because, or take a thing just because you're a different group. I don't give a shit. Like, believe it or not, I used to have a piercing in my belly button, right? And then all of a sudden, in Atlanta, that became a sign of being a homosexual. And people were like, "Oh, you need to take that out." I was like, "Fuck that! I'm not taking it out. Hell, I put it there because I wanted it there." But then one day I was calling myself cleaning it, and I took it out by accident. And trying to get that thing back in was hurting like a mother, and I couldn't get it in right, so I just left it out. I'm not gonna let somebody take away something that I like just because any group starts using it or saying it. No. If that's the case, then you shouldn't like a rainbow. I think rainbows are beautiful. I mean, just like when people question me about this, I don't care what other people think about it. It's going to be whatever I say it is. Mini Boss beat you, nubs. Mini Boss, what you got?
Hi, how are you? I'm glad.
Pretty good, Anthony.
Wow, I just beat him out by a split second.
Yeah, you did.
I don't believe the Bible and science go together either. I think they contradict each other big time because of what was I going to say? What's the word I'm talking about? Not artifacts, but monuments that have been found that contradict badly the church's doctrine about the earth being 6,000 years old if you add up the ages of the patriarchs and stuff.
Right.
Like there are monuments, I forgot where they are, that were made like 6,000 years ago. I'm like, who are they burying 6,000 years ago if Adam was the first person around?
Right. So you got like Tehran Tepe.
Yeah, that's it.
Tepe.
Oh my God, that's exactly what it was. That's the exact thing I'm looking up on Google.
And those are like 9 years old.
Something Tepe is like 1,000 years old. Who was building monuments back then before the earth was around? Did it just like fall down to earth or something? Did God build it or something? And just fall down to earth in 6,000 years ago or something? I'm like, what the hell?
Right. Because actually, if you look at the evidence that we've gathered from Tehran Tepe and Göbekli Tepe, they date back at least to around 8,000 to 9,000 BCE.
Yeah, the Göbekli Tepe is what I'm talking about.
Stop interrupting me. And some of it goes back, and some of it goes back to 13. They're estimating Tehran Tepe to go back to around 12 to 13,000 years ago. Well, 12 to 13,000 BCE, which places it well beyond the biblical timeline.
It sure does.
And if you do research on the coral reefs and how they age, how they date the coral reefs, you'll find out that the coral reef date so far back into Earth history that they are, millions of years old.
It sure is. Holy crap. I didn't even know that until you just told me that. I just knew about the Göbekli Tepe and stuff, been like 11,000 plus years old. I was like, whoa, this is no way the earth is 6,000.
What the footprint that's in, I think it's in New Mexico or Arizona, somewhere around in there. There's a footprint that's a fossilized footprint, and that is like 25,000 years ago.
Wow.
So that's presence of a human being or some type of humanoid existing in that area 25,000 years ago. So,
and the Sumerians, the Sumerians were supposedly, according to science, my recent studies, scientists consider them to be the original civilization. They were around 6,000 years ago. How is that possible if Adam and Eve were the only two people on Earth 6,000 years ago, they had like millions of Sumerians just happened to be there at the same time, writing stories for religious stories that the Bible would copy off of.
Yeah, they couldn't. So we also see these other civilizations, and even beyond the Sumerian civilizations,
Mhm.
because they're categorizing civilization at a certain level.
Yeah, they sure are.
I categorize civilizations as the moment that you have more than one family living together,
Mhm.
you got a little civilization. It might just be a small town or a group or a gathering, but that in order for more than one family to live together, you have to be civilized.
Yep.
So we have evidence of that going back 200,000 years.
Dang, that's a long time.
Yeah.
And they have some, I swear I'm not lying about this. NASA built something where you can actually listen to what the Big Bang sounded like. I saw it on the History Channel years ago. It just wowed me beyond belief. So I just remembered it to this day. You have to wear a special kind of protection, some special kind of head protection, some helmet that they build for it because it'll rupture your eardrums if you listen to it without it. But they have something like that. I'm like, they have proof that the universe came from a big bang. Why does anybody still believe in the Bible anymore? Why don't they just teach this stuff in schools? And what do they have to lose to just tell the truth?
Hope.
Yeah.
Hope. They have placed all their hope in having some type of paradise in the Bible. So that is what they fear. That is what they lose.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's a hard thing. That's a hard thing for people to give up. Is their hope. They're hoping something has to be greater than the misery of the life that I've been experiencing. So
what's the show you're going to be on? Truth what?
Truth Wanted.
Well, I never even heard about that. When are you going to be on it? I'm definitely going to watch you. You're famous now.
December 5th.
Mm-hmm.
I believe it's at 7 p.m. But let me check and make sure what time the show. Matter of fact, let me check now.
Mm-hmm.
And I said it, so I need to know what the hell I'm going to be doing.
Yeah.
So,
is it going to be on YouTube or should I check it out on TV? Because I don't even watch TV. TV is boring to me now.
Oh no, it's going to be. It's a YouTube.
Yes,
it's a YouTube channel.
Hell yeah! Is it going to be something you can call in for?
Yeah, there's a call-in number.
Oh yeah, I'm calling in.
Now it's only a It is a 1.5 hour show.
Mm-hmm.
What is wrong with your throat?
Oh man.
Yes. All that. Yeah. So
I was coughing.
Truth One. Okay, so the show goes from 7 p.m. to 8:30 p.m. Central Time Zone.
Mm-hmm.
So 7 to 8:30 Central Time Zone. Yeah, I'll be on the show called Truth Wanted. It's a YouTube channel, and I will, of course, leading up to it, I'll post a link to it.
Yeah, I was just gonna ask you if you could leave a link so I can subscribe to the channel immediately after I hang up.
Well, I don't know.
And make sure to catch you.
I'm not gonna do that immediately after I hang up.
No, I mean, could you post it like before you get on?
No.
Okay.
No. Because here's why.
Mm-hmm.
If I post it now and all y'all go join that page, then the credit that goes to that page will not come from me. The credit will go to whomever is doing Truth Wanted last Friday.
Oh, I see what you're saying, sir.
I don't want none of y'all to join Truth Wanted to subscribe to them on YouTube until I do the show. I'll post a link to the show beforehand, but do not subscribe to them until I'm on the show.
Okay, I won't.
Because this is self-gratification. I want that credit because Truth Wanted is one of their mid-level shows. My goal with this organization is to get on their primary show, which is called the Atheistic the atheist experience.
Oh God. Oh, I know what Truth Wanted is. I call Atheist Experience every day. You can just call them and get
Yeah.
on there.
Yeah, but I want people to wait. Damn it.
Yeah.
I need them to see the effect of me being on their show.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. But-
They helped me deconstruct big time. I was so terrified of going to hell when I first deconstructed from Christianity that I used to email them asking, what if I died in my sleep but could be an atheist? What can they tell me to assure me that I'm not going to go to hell? They used to write me back all the time, assure me that in the Old Testament, hell wasn't even a place of suffering. It was just the grave. I did research and found out they were right. So I just became an atheist and wrote back to them thanking them. Now I don't have no fear of being a person that has deconstructed whatsoever.
And that's
So-
one of the other reasons why people with the religion, because they can't get past the fear of hell.
Hell. Mm-hmm. There's a pastor, what's his name? Geno Jennings. You ever heard of him?
Yeah,
He said the only reason he's a pastor is because he don't want to go to hell. He's afraid of going to hell.
I believe it. I can accept that. That's what I've never heard him say that, but I can see
Yeah,
it.
I saved the video. He said he's afraid he's gonna go to hell, so he don't. That's the only reason he's a pastor.
Yeah, I can see that. And that's how many people are. They're afraid of going to hell, so they remain in that religion instead of realizing that there is no such thing as hell. But it's been ingrained in them so deeply.
Oh yeah, it has.
Is you got to dig through a lot of bullshit in order to get past it.
When you were selling your cigar stores on your cigars online, how were you going to take payments? Because I'm starting a social media site like Instagram. I'm going to take payments for people to subscribe to see videos and stuff. How do you do it? I'm not sure how to connect a payment processor. What payment processor did you use for your site, or were you going to use?
I didn't use one. I didn't have a site. I had people just contact me directly because I wasn't really pushing it. So they would just send me the Zelle or a Cash App. Now, shameless plug, when I do this webinar on December 14th, where I'm going to talk about 9 businesses that you need to start in 2026, there I will discuss what payment process centers that will be best for you to utilize if you're doing something online.
So you're going to do that on the Truth Wanted or whatever?
Nope, that's December 14th. That is a webinar event that I just published the link of it in the description of this video, as well as in the comment section.
Oh, I seen that. It's not available yet. Yeah, I tried to join.
No, it's available now.
Like a waiting list or something.
Nope, it's available now.
Oh, is it really? Cool.
Yeah. Yes. Can't give out all the information, bro. Not for that seminar. Nope.
I'm going to join this.
Unless you're on it. That's the only way you get it.
One last question. Do you get any money when we join your channel? I became a member of your channel to see daily videos. I pay like how much? $1 or something a month or something like that?
No, the
Do
dollar
you
a
get that
month.
when you just YouTube get it?
No, I get a portion of it. It's a split.
Oh,
Of course, it's a split because,
how do you get it? Is it through PayPal or something?
dude,
Yes, sir.
they pay me.
Oh.
They pay me. Okay, so let me tell you this. If you get your channel monetized or you can have members and whatnot, then you have to set up a method that a way for them to send you the money. You go through their process, you put your information in there, and every month they'll send you the whatever money you earned.
Cool. Okay, I thought they did something like send it through the mail or something. They just do it over the like. Okay, I see what you're saying.
Okay.
Cool.
All right.
Will you join when we open?
What?
Will you join when we open? There's no option to like go to do a live link or nothing like that yet, but you can just do videos and post them and stuff, and people can watch them.
What are you talking about?
I said I'm starting a social media site like Instagram or Facebook, and you have stuff like on TikTok and stuff.
So once again, those are some of the things I'm going to discuss on the event that I'm having December 14th. Okay.
You betcha.
All right.
Well, that's all I have for today. Thanks, Coach.
All right. Appreciate you.
Bye.
Bye. Bishop Nub.
Howdy, howdy.
Doing
How
pretty
is
good.
the great ministry?
It's not a ministry. I don't care if the definition fits. It's not a ministry.
Well, how can I be a bishop if there's no ministry?
Whatever. Oh, let me say
And
something.
actually,
real quick.
ministry.
Wait. I just thought about something that Mini Boss just said. That he said, if you join the memberships on YouTube, the $1.99 one, that doesn't get you the extra videos that I do. It is the $5.99 one that gets you the extra videos that I do. Just to let people know that.
So just like the church, you're putting the offering plate out, but at least you're honorable and not saying it's not for anything, it's not for God's work, it's for actual work.
Yeah.
So it is not just an offering. You're actually paying for something.
Yeah, exactly. About 2.5 years ago, I asked everybody if they want me to do this like a business. They said yes. And I said, all right, then, well, if I'm gonna do this like a business and give this much time to it, there has to be some type of ROI on the time that I'm giving.
I'm tossed up with that ROI because it doesn't take me much to survive. And it does take me a little bit more to thrive.
Mm-hmm.
So where is the happy medium for that? Because I do beautiful work. I mean, like this is the flower box corners.
Oh, that's cool.
I absolutely do gorgeous cedar work. And like, if you notice, these are all individually drilled. It's not two pieces squished. So this holds rigidity,
Wait a minute, you do cedar work?
Oh, I do beautiful cedar work.
Not
only do I do cedar work, but I also do Shishugibon cedar work.
I don't know what Shishugibon is, but
Shishugibon is an ancient form of Japanese woodworking where they actually burn the wood and brush the soft wood out, treat it with oil, and it lasts a lot longer.
Oh. Well, for what I'm about to say, you would need to use Spanish cedar.
Okay.
Consider building humidors, either home humidors or corporate humidors.
I have no problem building humidors.
Humidors use if you're building a humidor, we use cedar wood. We use Spanish cedar.
Yep.
And home humidors is a growing industry and one of the things that I'm gonna talk about is if you have a craft, how to be able to make your craft into a bigger business. But building humidors is one of those kind of untapped markets where there's only large makers of them. But if you are, and people are starting to build more humidors in their home, as well as their business places of business. Actually, my wife was just telling me about how her company is talking about building a lounge and having a humidor in there. So building humidors
really
is another option, is another tentacle that you can put out there.
Well, because I've been looking into it's funny you say that because I've been looking into building giant humidors for humans. And or more commonly known as a sauna. Same concept though.
Actually, home saunas is another,
right.
This is what I'm saying about there are certain things that the world, that the internet, that AI, that robotics is not going to take over, and craftsmanships is one of those things. All right.
Yep.
So that's why you need to be out on the webinar on December 14th. Shameless plug.
Well, I have plans that day, and that is my plan. So.
Oh, but the beauty of it is that the way I do my webinars is that I stream them on YouTube, and then for all those who pay for it, they will have access to that video forever.
No, I'm saying my plans consist of being on the webinar.
Oh, you made me see. But it allowed me to say that part there, that even if you miss it, because there were people who missed the last one, which was Financially on Fire, which was a financial seminar, but they still had access to the video so they can watch it later. The only thing is they weren't able to ask their own questions.
Right.
But
I see your paralysis in business, and and when you talk to people on things of a spiritual manner and they actually understand things of a spiritual nature and don't sit there and, try to shove down your throat that you're God or this, like, don't give me that. You don't bullshit people. If there's anybody there's very few people in this world that I would respect enough to speak on business and take business, quote unquote, advice. There's some vices worth taking.
Yeah.
Like that's the reality, and I think that when you attach yourself to things that you don't understand, then you have chaos and problems. But if you take the time to study and show yourself worthy, or as it says in, 2 Timothy, study to prove thyself worthy, rightly dividing the word of, what's that word? Oh, truth. Oh, damn that truth.
Yeah. I think you will also like 1 Peter 3:15.
Yes.
Which pretty much just states that you have to be able to defend your belief, defend your truth. If anyone comes to you and challenge it, you should be able to defend it, which we see that most Christians woefully cannot defend their truth. Right? They either
they don't know the truth.
Yeah.
Like,
and then they use
if you and I go ahead.
Logic. Then they use circle logic. Like you cannot say the the sun stood still because God said so in the Bible. That's why the sun stood still. Because God made it happen, and it's in the Bible. Well, that's not proof. That's just a closed loop debate. It doesn't work. You have to have outside proof to demonstrate that your claim is correct.
Well, that would be a master debate. And we know how dirty they get.
This guy.
Hey, I'm just telling it as I see it.
That's the truth.
It would be a master of debate that can come up with some bullshit and accept their own bullshit as truth.
Exactly.
Because we all know that any true master has no fucking clue about what they speak. Tell me where I'm lying.
A true master would never consider themselves to be a master.
Exactly.
Because they recognize that for as much as they know, there is even more that they don't know.
Far more than they do not know.
So therefore, you never master anything.
Which, it goes back to the whole concept of the fact that Christians come on here. The simple fact that they're coming on here indicates that they're doubting their own shit.
They wouldn't agree with you. They'll tell you that they are strong with it and that they had to come here because the Great Commission tells them that they got to go out and preach the word to the people. They got to lead you to the truth, even though this guy has said that he has predetermined who is going to be with him and who is not.
Coach, do you smell that?
What, the bullshit?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It must be thick. You can bullshit me all you want, but it ain't going to be coming to me where I'm going to actually believe it.
No.
Like it ain't happening, like.
Right. I mean, they will go against all scientific knowledge that they know that they learned, they know that has been proven, and still spout out their same God bullshit. You froze. Don't he look like what's the little dude? Voldemort? No, not Voldemort. What's Gandalf? Bishop Nub froze, but don't he look like Gandalf in that image?
All right, hello? You there?
I'm here.
Oh, okay. One of us froze up. Probably
You're
me.
Frozen.
Oh, okay.
You look like Gandalf right now.
It is cold, and I am a wizard. I am a wizard, so that I can cast out all the little demons. No, I was on a channel, and they were professing that the King James Bible was irrefutably 100% the word of God and perfect. That was literally my response.
Well, we know that's a lie. The King James Bible has so many errors in it that it's definitely one of the worst translations. And any Bible that's translated from the King James just is repeating its bad
The
translation.
same bullshit. Right.
Yeah.
Well, and then the other one was we were on there and he was there again professing the infallibility of the King James. And I brought up the concept of, well, the Tyndale Bible says something other than the King James. And he proceeded to tell me, well, Tyndale and King James were on the same side and King James was using Tyndale. Well, they were not in the same time frame, like by years. You're muted. Yeah, you see it. Oh, it's an alien. It was God. God hates your show. God is not allowing you to talk. See, you were wrong all the time. Now you're gonna go to hell. Yep. See, but all right, come on. My God is bigger than the boogeyman. Still can't hear you, but I hope the audience can. Tap it a little harder. Give it the old mechanic slap.
No, I accidentally hit the
There
mute
we
button.
go. There we go. Told you that mechanic slap.
Yeah, I accidentally hit the mute button.
Don't ever do that with me on the line.
God did it. God caused you to hit that mute button. So that's why God didn't want you to say what you were saying.
Oh shit. That's some funny shit right there.
I know, right?
I tell you. So I will let you with this thought. For all you Christians that are praying that I get eaten by this dog,
Oh,
there's
wait,
a nice.
Before you go there, you said something, but it's actually, I think you had the different Bibles. King James actually did use the Tinsdale Bible.
Well, he used it, but the guy was presenting it as if they were working in cahoots.
Oh, that they were working together.
Yes.
Oh, no, they weren't working. Okay, I see what you're saying. No, they weren't working together. Well, he should have, and the mere fact that he didn't use the Geneva Bible is something that I find odd, because the Geneva Bible is more accurate than the King James. But he was saying that Tinsdale worked with him. Maybe he was thinking about, because there's a theory that William Shakespeare was working with him. Maybe that's who he meant.
Well, William, I would say that if there's any.
You froze again. God don't want to hear what Gandalf has to say. Gandalf the wizard, who fell off a bridge.
Anything but a pseudonym.
But yet he could fly. Yeah,
but that's my opinion.
Yeah, well,
did you hear me?
We didn't hear your opinion because you froze.
Are we froze?
Yeah, so we didn't hear your opinion.
Who's froze? I'm froze. No, you're froze, Gandalf. Well, we know Nub is out in the middle of the wilderness, so he got that. I don't know what system he's using. All right, so we're gonna. So since there
Gandalf,
we
are you there?
Yep, God didn't want to hear that.
Okay, because you almost got kicked off the show.
No, it was God.
Okay.
Yeah, but in all fairness, in closing, in true closing, in regards to the conflict between God and science, God tells you to pray and he might give you an answer. Science has given us things like Godel or Google that you can look any of this shit up and have it within seconds. So people, be wise. Google some shit. Like, for instance, Christians, look on Google And right in there, is there any firsthand account testimony of Jesus Christ outside of the Bible? If it pulls Tacitus, Pliny, or Josephus, look at the dates in which they were alive and look at the dates in which it was put together.
Right.
So, and then after that Google search, do one more Google search to prove all things with 2 or 3 witnesses, right? Let's do another Google search and Google, is the Bible a first-hand account testimony of Jesus Christ? And then look at the date in which it was put together.
Right.
And clearly, if it was put, I'll give you a tip. If it was put together between 50 and 150 AD, well, that AD, according to what they're thinking, is the after death, even though we all know that's not right. But for the
Right.
Christian's sake, after death, AD, if it's 150, that's 150 years after the first year, according to your guys' calendar. Nobody lives to 150.
Uh-uh.
And if it's 50 years, the average lifespan of those people was not very long. So any and all of your 500 witnesses either didn't know how to write and read, which is probably the case, if they existed in the first place.
Right.
Because there's still a lot of question, because we haven't seen any of their writings. We've just heard about them.
Exactly.
So in the court of law, that would be considered what would be speculation and or conjecture and not admissible as evidence. Do you hear me, Christians? Not admissible as evidence. One last thing that you cannot use. If the Bible is as...
He froze again. This is what happens when you live in the country. When you have that bad cell tower, and you know he'd be walking around all the damn time.
That's not firsthand account testimony. God did it. God did it all. Much love. Peace out.
All right.
Talk to you later.
Talk to you later. That's what happened when you live out in the country. Oh, and for those who, if anybody was questioning it, Chuck Norris went and found the actual time frame that Tinsdale was burned for translating the Bible because he was considered a heretic into English in 1536. King James published his in 1611. So it's an impossibility that Tinsdale was working with King James because he was dead. He was dead to go towards that question that he had said. And Force Wielder has joined us. Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Lorez, what's up, brother?
No, sir. How you doing?
Good, bro. Just listening to the show, man. Listen to the show. I like the topic, like about. Did anybody jump on proving anything about the Bible and science aligning, or nah?
No, we had a guy who obviously been listening to some mysticism about the flower of life and was trying to say that the sun revolved around the earth. We had another person come on who tried to big word himself into a discussion, but never proved anything. Just a whole bunch of big words that didn't give any meaning. And we did have one guy who thought he corrected me by saying that AI had already been in use in 1956, but just the concept of AI was being brought up and the research began in 1956. But by 1971, there was no workable AI that was out there. So that's about it. That's about it. We've had a bunch of people in comments making their little statements, but no one has been able to prove that the Bible demonstrates science, that science aligns with the Bible.
And they're not going to be able to because, I mean, science and the Bible, the way I look at it is science uses a logic that is is based off of experiment and observation, and and it's recorded, whereas biblical, if you want to even call it logic, it's believed to be divine, which divine is just a concept. It's not anything that
Yeah.
you can believe. You can believe. I'm not knocking any beliefs, but it's just something that at the end of the day, even me, I have some beliefs that I hold to myself. But am I gonna bang the table and say, oh yeah, this is what it is, this is it? No, because I can't prove it. If it's not verifiable, it's just a belief, and the Bible is based off of that. Because some of the stuff you read, it doesn't show it doesn't show that it's came from a scientific, logical standpoint. It's just it's an understanding
Mm-hmm.
for the unknown, whereas science gives you. I don't believe fully that science proves everything, but it gives you an understanding, and it gives you something to base off of. Like when we talk about space and all that stuff, like, because there's some people that'll tell you, like, especially people who are religious, they might be like, well, you coming with all this science stuff, you didn't do it, so you just trusting what the scientist is saying that they experimented or researched, and they'll say, well, that's the same thing I'm doing. I'm doing whatever these writers said. I believe in that because I believe it came from God. And that can be an argument, but science will win because it's something you can call it that, but science, at least, it is something that is the reasoning is logical.
Well, it's not just the reasoning is logical, but the facts can be demonstrated. They can be observed. They go through peer review. It is not just the one scientist or the group of scientists who are saying this is the facts, and then everybody just accepts those facts. In order for something to be considered an objective truth in science, it has to go through peer review. And in that peer review, there can be no other question to it of whether or not it's a fact. Science doesn't prove everything, but it sure hell proves a hell of a lot. And it proves more than what the Bible ever attempted to prove.
Facts.
Because we can, we have so many different territories of science. Whether we just look at biology, science prove that a bat is not a bird?
Mm-hmm.
There is no question to that. A bat is not a bird. It doesn't define it. Science proves that there is absolutely no way the earth stood still for 12 hours. That is an absolute, that all life on earth would go away if that happens for 12 hours. They're not rotating. Science demonstrates that there is not enough water above the earth, in the earth, on the earth to cover the highest mountains of the earth. That is a fact. That is not a theory, hypothesis. That is factual.
Mm-hmm.
That is impossible. That is impossible. It's just not able to occur. So, of course, for them, and when science does get something that is a accepted theory, when information comes along that demonstrate that it is not, then science goes back and finds out why the conclusion that they previously had was incorrect. Whereas a Bible person, when they find out or it's presented to them that their information is wrong, they do not go back and say, well, I had this information. Well, why was my information wrong? They will not look at the science. They will not say, oh, well, the science is right. They will say, oh, because God did it. Oh, because God can do anything. Because it was a miracle. No, it is not a miracle. God cannot, your God of the gaps cannot fulfill every requirement. Can't fulfill any requirement, actually. None.
Yeah.
No, virgins can't get pregnant. Not a true
Facts.
virgin can't get pregnant. You know, what is it called? Whatever the term is. But a human, no mammal can get pregnant as a virgin. It doesn't happen. It's impossible. So science demonstrates these things, but they're not going to accept it. They're going to say, no, God can do whatever God wants to do. He's the creator God. He can do it. He can make it happen. He can make the earth stand still. Parthenogenesis. Thank you, boss lady. Parthenogenesis cannot happen in mammals. It's an impossibility.
It's just impossible scientifically that certain events just couldn't have happened, right?
Yeah, it's just impossible.
Mhm.
The plagues of Egypt never happened. Archaeology demonstrates that it never happened. So, and which archaeology is just another arm of science, and it demonstrates that it never happened. And the information in the Bible is contradictory within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because either Second Kings is right about when the Exodus happened, or the records of when, and so that would put it like in the 1500s BCE. Either it happened, but if it happened in the 1500s BCE, the city of Pi-Ramses and Pithom were not built until the 1200s. So, which one is it? Whose story is correct? Is Second Kings correct, or is the Exodus story correct? Both of them cannot be correct in this instant.
Nope.
And the fact that there is zero records of a large-scale migration of Semitic slaves out of Egypt in any of those time frames, or that Egypt suffered financially during any of those time frames. Egypt actually thrived during those time frames. The kingdom grew during those time frames, and they were in control of the Levant. So they would have left Egypt for more Egypt. That doesn't make any sense.
And see stuff. See those things like, and you said it right too. When it comes to Christianity, religion, when the facts are presented that debunked, those biblical stories and stuff like that, those events. Science, I do agree. Science does correct itself. Like it's like, okay, if there is proof or scientific evidence that I guess debunks something, an old theory or anything like that, then science will correct itself. It's like, okay, that was not correct. What I was talking about more so, because I believe on Earth, yeah, we can experiment and we can research and do studies on stuff, and we have all the means to do it. What I more so was talking about, like the what you call it, like the space, like yeah, outside of Earth, whereas we have to trust the information that is given to us about that. And that's where I can see where religious, because the reason I say that, because that's how I was when I was really into religion. I was like, well, the science, outside outer space, it's more so, I know that people have done their and it's only been certain people. It's not something that every I don't think, is that space inclusive for, like, are all countries involved in that? And because I don't really know too many. I mean, like, we're black, so I don't really know too many, like, people in that field that can, like, make sure that the information that we get back is the integrity of it, I should say. Because, there's a whole bunch of conspiracy theories and stuff.
Yeah. So even the information about space, I'm not a rocket scientist. I'm not an astrophysicist. But the information that is not accepted on faith, I don't accept it on faith because it's done the same way any scientific information is done. So if Neil deGrasse Tyson makes a statement of fact about something in astrophysics, then he has to cite how he developed that information, right? What did he test? What did he observe? All these sorts of things, what mathematics and everything that goes with it. Then that information is looked at and studied by other astrophysicists all around the world. And in that peer review, they're either going to agree or they're going to disagree. They're going to partially agree or partially disagree. So even when it comes to space, you can take the information that we have as truth when there's a consensus. When you have he makes his claim, but then you got the astrophysicists in India, in China, in Russia, in England, all these other places, when they evaluate that claim and the overwhelming majority of them come to the same conclusion, then it's a consensus that was a correct statement. So you don't have to know it, because I don't know everything about archaeology. I don't know everything about biology. I don't know everything about chemistry, but I know the process that all those things go through in order for them to be stated as a consensus fact.
Okay.
So there's no faith involved. So it doesn't compare to religion, because you still don't need faith. And when they say it's a theory, and the difference between religion is that if it is a theory based on the amount of information, but they cannot 100% prove it, then they list it as a theory. It still will be listed as a theory. It won't be considered a fact, but it is a leading theory. But that theory is still going to be based on the evidence that we can understand today.
Got you.
Whereas religion is, I'm still going to believe this shit from 2,000 years ago, from 3,000 years ago, even though I know that the peer review of it demonstrates that the information is false. And so that's faith.
Yeah.
There's no faith you don't have faith in science. There's no faith in science.
Yeah, it's not faith. It's just, do you agree with it or you don't agree with it? But there is evidence that supports the science, whatever the theory is. It's not just out of thin air.
Exactly. So, and you got to have religion.
That's what I kind of believe. Like, as far as science, look at like what replicates the life that we exist in. The Bible, to me, does not. But science, like, just you don't even have to be a real scientist. Just
replicate or represent.
Represent. Well,
okay.
Represent, because I was gonna refer to the relationship between the sun and earth.
Okay.
The sun, this is my understanding. The sun and the earth create life, right? And
sure.
Yeah,
I mean, they play major roles in it, but yeah.
Because so are you under the understanding that like life form, like us, and I know you talked about evolution, but even going back to that first whatever ancestor or whatever that being was, that it didn't just come out of nowhere. It came from the earth, but the energy, as far as I know, is the sun. The sun is what is giving us is sustaining life on earth for us. That energy, without it, then life wouldn't be sustainable, right?
I mean, there's a difference between it sustaining the life and it creating the life. So does it sustain life on earth or and then therefore make it possible for the life as we know it to be on earth? Sure. But it doesn't create the life. Like, we're not sun energy.
So wasn't the first well, no one was here, but just I guess this is a theory, scientific theory, that what I've researched is that uh, that light I guess it was believed that light, which would have came from the sun, would have technically been like just the rays would have been like the first forms of life on the planet of Earth.
Well, see, that's what I'm saying. Light itself would not create life on Earth. It would take the combination of the light, the water, the amino acids. It's a combination of multiple things that then allow for an inert thing to become life. And then it
But all
becomes life, and then it continues to develop from that perspective because of other things within the environment.
But wouldn't that be all of those elements, all of those other elements though, would have came from Earth?
Well, yeah, something like that. Earth,
So
bombardments from other bodies.
yeah. So in life, it's kind of like it's a representation of how we live right now, like man and woman, the male,
Mhm.
the woman, all of the elements of the life form the woman has inside, and the man brings that other element, which is kind of like how the sun does for the earth. And you're saying it doesn't create life, but I think it's all a part of it.
Yeah, no, I agree that it's all a part of it.
Okay.
I was saying that it doesn't do it by itself.
Okay, yeah, for sure, for sure.
Yeah.
And that's what the Bible, and that is more of a representation of the life that we live in. Whereas the Bible says there's this one entity that created everything. It doesn't give you that reason, that method behind the creation, except for the elementary story of forming it out of dirt, forming life from dirt and stuff like that.
Right. Yeah, it doesn't do that. Yeah.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm with you.
Yeah, and that's the difference I think with science and Bible. Bible just doesn't allow you to use your logic to come up to whatever the understanding is that you want to have about life. It just, and like you say, I agree all the way when you say like those things in the Bible was written so long ago, and the Bible doesn't talk about evolution. It doesn't say how generations are. There's no prophecy about the evolution of the Israelites. It's
No.
all like, oh, you're gonna be this way, and you're supposed to abide by these rules. It doesn't say like, oh, you're gonna change thousands of years from now. It doesn't talk about that.
Yeah, no, it doesn't. No, you're supposed the Jewish religion was supposed to stay exactly the same. And Jesus' teachings is that it's supposed to stay exactly the same. It is the teachings of Paul that changed the teachings of the Jewish religion, and that created Christianity. Yeah.
Yeah,
But look here, dude. I've been on here for 3 hours and 23 minutes. So you know what that means.
I already know. Hangry.
Getting hangry. I had a small breakfast this morning.
Yeah, I'm glad I was able to catch the show on the break, man. But yeah, man, do your thing. I heard
All
you
right.
said you were gonna do you doing some changes to the channel or something. You
Yeah.
say you're gonna be on another show?
No. Yeah, I'm finna talk about all that on my outro.
Okay, all right, cool.
All right.
All right, bro.
All
Have
right,
a
bro.
good one.
You too. Before I get into the outro of today's show, there was an interesting comment that I saw come across the screen. I think it's Teapot said that racism came out of science. That is a true statement. Racism did come out of science, and it is a perfect example of how science works. So any and everything, philosophy, science, economics, religion, everything is affected by culture. There was a culture at the time frame in the 1500s and there was an economic culture and there was a religious culture. And in order to facilitate the economic and religious culture, racism was then created. And so the thinking minds of Europe at that time frame started to create the idea of racism, that people are separated by race. And they did this with a bunch of pseudoscience. Oh, look at the size of the cranium. Look at their technological advancements. They're less than human. They're not actually human. Limited by their own scientific knowledge, racism was then created, but it was being pushed by a culture, an economic and religious culture. But then as we moved forward in society, science said that no, size of the skull doesn't matter. Technological advances are generally based out of necessity of the civilization. So that's inaccurate as well. We see the economic reason for racism to develop, but as that economic reason started to dissipate, so too did racism start to dissipate in the levels that racism was created for. Racism was created for slavery. It wasn't created out of pure scientific quest. It was created for slavery, for economic reason. It maintained itself in cultures as it still does today. That same racism was previously nationalism, and then it was previously tribalism. Man has always created some pseudoscience of separation in order for an economic reason to happen, for some economic reason. But true science has demonstrated that there is no such thing as tribalism, nationalities, or race. Those things are man-made creations. They have no bearing in science. We can see, but what we can see in science, that people of certain areas who live in certain environments, who have certain dietary, have certain dietary regimes, that melanin count changes. It's quite simple. If every racist could just understand that, then they would understand that there is no such thing as race. If every person can understand that, there is no such thing as race, other than just our species. That's it. So that was a good question, good statement that he made. I don't know what the purpose of the statement was, but it lended itself very well to the conversation today. So that's why I brought it up. In the outro, couple of things, people. Couple of things. On December 14th, I will be on this. Let me go earlier. On December 5th, I will be on the show Truth Wanted. I will be co-hosting the atheist organization's show Truth Wanted, which is headlined by the show The Atheist Experience. I need all you guys to be there. And I need you to make your comments, and I'm gonna need you to subscribe after to the Truth Wanted, so that they be like, "Ooh, this guy is great," even though I'm gonna be great anyway because I'm me. But this guy is great. We need to elevate him to our bigger shows. I'm asking that for myself. Yes, I never hardly ask you guys for things, but yes, I'm asking you for that. So it's just your presence is that I'm asking for on that one. On December 14th, I placed the link there's a link in the description of the Facebook and YouTube videos. I will again place the link in the comment section if I can find where the hell the link is. Oh yeah. I am doing a webinar. My webinars oftentimes are on different stuff. I'm doing a webinar on 9 businesses you need to start in 2026 for success. Things are changing again. We're about to have a massive shift. We are having a massive shift. I've been watching some things happen for the last couple of years, and I know without a shadow of a doubt that if you want to stay economically, if you want to continue to move economically up, that most of us need to get involved in one of these 9 businesses. And some of it is just a type of business. there are many different pathways within it. I don't know why the link isn't showing up. There it is. There are many different pathways within it, many different ways to look at it, many different ways that you can utilize your talents, your abilities to be able to start businesses. This is not a network marketing thing. I do not do network marketing companies, so don't worry about that. But definitely you want to be a part of it. I just put the link in there. Another thing, and I saw Kevin, he reminded me of this earlier. We are, I'm sorry. No, T-Keep. You cannot live without money. I don't know. You have to go and live on an island by yourself and have a farm and all that kind of stuff if you want to live without money. But you got to buy the island first. These people who believe that we can live without money amazes me. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen in our lifetime that we get rid of our monetary system. So you will live in a monetary system for the rest of your life. And you got to have money. If you live in America, you got to have money to pay for your taxes on the land that you're living on. If you stop paying those taxes, they're going to kick you off that land and then you're going to be homeless. So you need money. And just share. Yeah. Why am I wasting my time? Why am I wasting my time with that? That's banging my head against the wall. It would be great if people could live in a utopian society like that, but we don't. And we're not, and we never will. But anyway, so we're going to have this webinar on December 14th. I'm changing the show. Yesterday, I told you guys that an opportunity landed in my lap and I got to take it. I have to take it. I can't ignore it. As much as I want to stay semi-retired, I cannot. But it'll also give me more time to be more productive on this channel as well. Because ever since I started doing lives 5 days a week, I haven't been able to put out as many videos that I go into deeper studies on. So it is going to allow me to have more time to put more videos out, whilst also giving me more time to pursue this opportunity that landed in my lap. Got to do it. So the shows will now be, the live shows will be Tuesday, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursdays. So what does that mean? There will not be a show tomorrow. Because tomorrow I'll be working on this opportunity. And so I'll be working on it Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So, and still working on it Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday. But I just know I'm going to need to be able to devote at least about 20 to 30 hours a week on this opportunity to get it up and running and going. So I have to cut back on this, and to treat this more like a business, as we said, as I determined 2.5 years ago. The focus now, podcasts are great. Podcasts are great. Podcasts are good for bringing people in. Podcasts are not good for monetization. So if any of you guys, and I will be talking, and podcast is one of those 9 things. Podcast is good for that, but it's not good for monetization unless you're selling a product. And I'm going to talk more deeply about that on December 14th on the Eventbrite webinar. Right. So if you've been thinking about a podcast, that is one of those things, one of those successful opportunities that's out there and will continue to grow. But there's a lot more things that you can combine with it, that, or it can be, some things are separate, other things you can combine with your podcast, and you'll be able to create a situation where you don't punch a 9 to 5 clock other than the clock you punch for yourself, because you do have to put time and energy in it. The show is called Truth Wanted, Kevin. I'll be talking about it every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday, but it's called Truth Wanted. Do not subscribe to the channel of Truth Wanted yet. Wait till I do the show to subscribe to that channel on YouTube. Yes, it's on YouTube. Wait. I need the credit. I need them to see my impact, because I want to be on the Atheist Experience show, which is their flagship show. So this is my test run on their show. So hold up. But anyway, so I appreciate you guys for being here today. Thank you all for being members on YouTube. the members who get the extra videos, those are the I think it's I don't know what the title of it. I can't remember. It's like master levels, or I think it's master levels. $5. Same thing with the subscriptions on Facebook. Thank you for supporting the channel that way, and for super fans on TikTok, I greatly appreciate you. Those who also support the channel by liking the channel, subscribing to the channel, thank you. Right, that still helps the show. That still helps this to function in a business format, right? And just to give you guys an idea, you definitely want to be there for this webinar, that I'm doing, because as many of you know who've been with me for a while, because I turned this into a business, I was able to not have to deal with the popcorn shop and the cigar lounge, and getting rid of the cigar lounge, where I was spending 12 to 14 hours a day in that cigar lounge. It gave me back in my life at least 9 of those hours. At least 9 of those hours that I now have free to do whatever else I want to do. That's the impact. So I've been doing it so that's why you've never seen me do this type of webinar about businesses that you can start, because I needed to give you proof. You guys have seen me for the last 2.5 years, not running a cigar lounge, not owning a popcorn shop, but doing just this. And you see me move to Wilmington, North Carolina. You saw me move here to San Antonio. You see my life in San Antonio. So obviously I might know a little bit about what I'm talking about, just a little bit. So if you want that kind of change, you need to be there. You need to be there, and it's going to continue to grow. You're going to start to see some changes in this show, in how I produce videos, because change is a constant. All right. So I look forward to you guys. Thank you for being part of the show. Y'all have a great. I'll see you on Tuesday. Y'all have a great weekend. Please watch all the videos that I produce and share those videos. Like, comment. I thank you very, very much. All right. Oh, thank you, boss lady. That was very instrumental in her deconstruction. So always remember, you have to free yourself to be yourself, because your greatness is non-negotiable. Good journey, good vibrations. And I'm about to go outside and enjoy some of this 85-degree weather that we have down here in San Antonio. I just wanted to rub that part in for all y'all who freezing, wherever y'all at, wherever y'all freezing. It's warm here in San Antonio, which is one of the reasons why I moved, why me and Angelina picked San Antonio. It's 85 degrees today. I got on shorts and a short sleeve shirt while y'all freezing. Anyway, talk to y'all later. Have a good one. I'm hungry. See, this is delirium talking from lack of food. Ooh, it's 40. Oh, no.